Mr. Mephisto won't be joining us. This RantCast is for winners. And as you can see here, I'm a winner. So, I'm also wearing exactly what I was wearing yesterday, because I have not showered. I went to work like this. Everyone was fine with it, because guess what? I'm a winner. Perhaps you'd like to be a winner like me. Well, you should tune into my podcast, Cubic Shenanigans. You should listen to RantCast. And most importantly, you should play some Broken Filth. So, tonight, on episode 15, we talk about how excellent I am and how much I love the sound of my own voice.
Wait a minute. What the hell, Brendan? What the hell's going on, man? This is supposed to be my podcast.
I got your password.
Ah, crap.
So, here we are.
Well, he with the double dragons makes the rules.
Now I know some of you have lovely golden hammers, and that's nice and all. But, I mean, come on.
Those things are immense. Like, they're so over the top. These are fantastic. So these trophies that are flanking you on either side are from Dragonfall.
2018 here on my right. My big boy Nagash won me that one. 2019 here on my left with Shalaxi won me that one. And so that's back to back. Year before I finished second. So, you know, we don't talk about that. I did win Best Painted at that one. So, you know, Renaissance man. And we'll be going for a three-peat. With what? I don't know. Whatever the most broken book is at the time. I'll take that.
Like he's already calling his shot. So, I mean, you can stay in character if you want, or do you want to do a rundown of Dragonfall for me?
I can't see. That's the real problem.
Good evening, everyone. Tuning into RantCast. A little bit there for you. Brendan was... Yeah, it's got a little bit of his bubbly. Oh, hello, I didn't see you come in.
Yeah.
So Dragonfall just finished this last weekend. Pretty... I mean, this was like kind of my... That was... the year you won with Nagash was my first, like, massive, you know, my first main big tournament away from...
Right, that's where we met. Yep.
Right. So that's where we met. So I think it's pretty appropriate. 1 year later, RantCast has one of its most auspicious casts featuring you and the Double Dragons.
Well, and you and I talked about it before the weekend, and we said, how cool would that be to do the villain entry with two of them.
Yeah, like, so the pressure was on then to win. So was there actually extra pressure at the tournament because you're like, I have to win that second dragon?
Yeah, and it's the first event I've ever been to where I was the defending champion. So that was a new experience for me.
Okay. Yeah, like, you usually like the rowdy upstart, like, coming in and burning it down a little more, like...
Yeah, for a while, yeah. And this was my first... Well, it wasn't my first tournament win. My first tournament win was a 6-player tournament. It was 2 days. But this was my first, like, actual, you know, 30-ish player gig where, you know, I'm playing the field and making sure that everything else comes out the way it was. And, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So how was it this year? I'm sorry I missed it. I'm earning back family karma.
Yeah. Nashtown will do that to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it was a good trip. It ended up being about 24 people after people like Kyle dropped and, you know,
that
brought it to
son
a
of
field
a
of
bitch.
Under 30. Yeah, no, I was disappointed. And Alex was feeling under the weather. I really wanted a Team New Zealand reunion here at the event. So this wasn't meant to be. The problem was, though, is that I didn't realize that Kyle was around. That he wasn't around until after the first day, where I kind of sat down. I was eating dinner, and I said, "Wait a minute, Alex and Kyle were supposed to be here."
Yeah, how did Andrew get my stones then for my basing material? Yeah, man. So I'll call my shot now. I'll make it next year. I want to I feel like you gotta respect your roots, and Dragonfall is a little bit of an origin story for me too. So I gotta make it next year. I'll make sure to shift the calendar around. And then Tanya actually ran her very first tournament, I believe. She ran the doubles. Did you partake in the doubles or?
No, I had a board of directors meeting on Friday, so I could not miss unless I was dying from the plague.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean RL first, right, and then AOS. Very close, like second, like 1.1. It's just a.
Yeah, and I would have loved to have gone and supported her. She's been a community fixture in this area for as long as I've been playing. So, she gives all that support, and I wanted the opportunity to give it back, but I just wasn't able to. Yeah. So hopefully she runs the doubles next year, and hopefully it's not scheduled the same day as my third quarter board of directors meeting.
Right. Well, she did walk away with hardware too.
She did, and she and I were talking about it before the event, and I told her that this is, before we knew that there was only 2 Death players, this is something that she and I talked about, and the conversation was that this is an award that's really been long overdue for her. She won Best Death, and unfortunately for her, I've been in that lane for a really long time, and have made it a point of my playing where that's the award that I'm aiming for. So and she almost took it at LodgeCon with Kyle and I, playing it out within points. All 3 of us, tables 1, 2, and 3. Kyle dropped the game to Zach Kashetta on table 1. I got the minor win on Carson and on table 2, and I think I only bested Tanya by 5 points or something like that. So it's an award that's been a long time coming for her.
Yeah, she's been right there the whole time. She was actually on OG FAC pre, like when you really had to love the army to stick with it.
Yeah. Yes.
So that was like that's cool. It's really cool when it feels like like the community fixtures and the people and love as part of that make the community what it is when they finally get their time. It's really awesome. So any big takeaways, any major storylines from the weekend you want to, apart from your double dragon victory here?
Well, I mean, that's the only story. So people really hate Slanesh. Let me tell you what. I don't know if you know that. But
I feel like I did a RantCast that heavily featured talking about Slanesh, and it got instant down thumbs on it because it's people are not about listening to me essentially play devil's advocate for Slanesh for an episode. But how much do they hate them? Was it just was this?
I mean, it was people coming up to me and telling me how dumb the army is. And what do you want from me? One, it's a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not playing with the intention to win, don't complain about the people that are there with the intention to win. If you are there with the intention to win and you're complaining about something on the top table, that's your own goddamn fault.
Yeah.
This meta is no secret. We live in the age of the internet. You knew what Slanesh was coming into this.
So either beat it or join it type thing. And that is, I think that's pretty. I'm all for people playing the tournament or playing the game the way they want to and loving what they love and yada, yada, yada. But, you have to make certain concessions if you're aiming for top tables. You can, play your darling army on the top tables and stuff, but when it gets right down to it, that wheel is turning and you kind of have to hope that your darling army is on the top of the wheel. IJ, you had those people who were committed to Iron Jaws, and that wheel came around GHB 19. They're kind of... They're approaching the top, so you saw these long time Iron Jaws players like really beginning to crush it, and
certain concessions equals your soul. No, Brad's right.
certain, you just got to sell your soul to win a lot.
So what's funny is Justin Shannon, I think he's the guy that finished in last. Justin's a cool dude, and he wasn't complaining. He loves on his corn. He loves it hard. Him and I were talking, I think it was at the end of the tournament. He goes, so how is it? I was like, I mean, it's fine. You know, this is what it is. And he's like, well, is it even fun? I said, well, the winning is fun. He's like, oh, so you sold your soul? You met a man at the crossroads? And I said, yeah, he offered me his soul in exchange for, you know, being the wealthiest man. And he laughed. He said, so wait, you're the devil? I said, I mean, it's not up to me.
See, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna, but if, like, Bucket Ninja here, like, if you're gonna beat Slaanesh, you gotta be thinking about that. And the meta's no secret, like you said. The internet, you look at who got top 10 in every single tournament, and you go, can my list beat that? Yes, no. And then you need to do some tooling. So...
Well, and every Age of Sigmar tournament has been like that. If you have the intention of winning, you have to understand that in most circumstances, you're going to go through, you know, 1 or 2 of 5 lists, whatever they are at the time. You know, back before 2.0, it was Change Host, Caradron Overlords, Fire Slayers that were daisy chained, Plague Touched, and Seraphon. Whatever that list was that
the tail,
Sean
right?
Shore was running. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It was that. Right now, it's Slaanesh, it's Flesh Eater Courts, it's Skaven, and there's some mixture of Idneth, Fire Slayers, Deepkin Daughters, other Skaven.
I'd say Shootcast is also, just from a sheer volume, it's one of those, like, it's 10% of the field. Like, you're gonna play games against Shootcast, so, like, you should never be surprised. I know they've got a reputation of being a slightly weaker army, but, like, you should never be surprised that you see Shootcast. And if you're like, man, I crushed Slaanesh with my highly specific, like, tailored list, but I really hope I don't see Shootcast. You know, like, that's, you know, like, that becomes considerations. Or you really do just take the best army every time, and then you play the other people who have the best army, and it comes down to, you know, a lot of skill, and sometimes you just got to run hot, get lucky. So
yeah, as Brad tells me, it's better to be lucky than good, and I was both this weekend, so I'll take it. But I mean, all you have to do is look at the results of the weekend. Is I played and beat 2 of the guys that went the 2 top 4-1 players. I beat the top 3-2 player. I beat everybody I played was in the top half of the event. So
you had a strong strength of schedule too, so you had to really, really fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played the best Chaos player. I played the best Destruction player, and you know, I didn't get the chance to play the best Death player, but I took the other Death player and punted him off of the screen, so that opened the door for Tanya, who was playing on the bottom tables in the first 2 games.
Okay, and she kind of ascended too, and you helped clear some room. So look at that community.
Rational guy.
Rational Nihilist is telling you to wear a shirt with sleeves, for fuck's sake.
So, Nick, I can be bought for the right amount of money. I will put sleeves on.
Like you got to wear your what is it? You hate arm legs or no? It's leg sleeves are the worst type of sleeves. So first
they are leg sleeves are the worst kind of sleeves. Yes. It's not that kind of Twitch channel.
Yeah. It's okay. We got the mature tag on. How do you guys go about buying an army before fully painting your first? I want to play more armies, but due to chronic illness, I don't get to hobby a ton. And when I do, I want to play. So sadly, not a lot of my models are done, but some tournaments require painted armies. Advice for painting it, 30 minutes a day. I mean, that's the best advice I can give you for getting through your hobby army. It's not a lot of time, but you'll see progress. We've done some entire hobby episodes here. I know Bryce is pretty much a hobby hero. He'll be back on.
This week, right?
Yeah. He's gonna help me with the Havoc recap, and then we're gonna talk about the international escalation league that he started with Tristan, with Tomb King Tristan, and they're both really like kind of hobby darlings. So I'm sure they'll have a lot better tips than what I have, because hobby is my weak point in the game. So like that's my like, you got a triangle. One of the things has to be on top that you're like not good at, and the other two are on the bottom. I mean, there are some paragons out there like Trunzo is like he's not a triangle. He's just a line of all the best. My main tip is just do try to get 30 minutes of hobby time in a day. Whether it's just doing a couple bases, putting on a base coat on a couple things. Obviously, Vince is great for it too. But you're gonna have a hard time going out to like any substantial tournament without your army being tabletop standard. So 3 colors, two textures on bases, I think is the kind of standard I'm seeing at most places. Some places differ.
Yeah, one of the things that I will say as a tournament organizer is, if you approach the tournament organizer and you say, hey, specifically, this is what my situation is, TOs are human.
Yeah.
They, like, I'm not saying I wouldn't accept something totally unacceptable, but I would be willing to be extremely lenient to permit somebody in a situation like that where it's a little bit outside of their control. I would like to see, attempt, but I would be willing to be lenient in a case like that.
Look at him breaking character already to be like human and nice. No, I mean, and that's the other thing is like TOs are humans. Send a message too would be another thing if like you really want to like go out and play the game, and like that's a really good point there, Brendan. The storyline, the main narrative, you crushing it, getting your second dragon. I hear, did Relian, did he end up getting his second trophy too for, where was he at Michigan GT? Was that what it was?
No. Brad was just home, I think, just enjoying a nice weekend. Nowhere near Elmhurst, which is, for this last weekend, my favorite place for him to be.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, see, like we've had this like opponents whining about gray models thing. We had like several RantCast streak there where my guests were being the guys who hate you with your gray models. But that's them having their soapbox, humorous moment. Really the point we landed on, and I think a lot of the community would respect, is show me progress with your army. Like if you show up each week to the LGS and I see a little more paint and a little more paint every time, I personally won't care. I mean, I play some proxy games with just fucking empty bases just to research, but I'm doing that with like my friend Joe, and we're not, like I would never take empty bases to an LGS and be like, hey, can we play a game? Like, never. But yeah, I mean, it's what you're what you're able to do, right? At some point, exactly. There are things beyond your control. So, and if people don't have like the empathy to see that everyone's got their own sort of like levels of progress to the hobby aspect, then that's kind of a them thing, and I wouldn't waste any thought on them. So, Dragonfall, huge success. I want to go back to this one thing I kind of asked you earlier. Did you feel added? So you mentioned like you were the defending champ.
Yes.
How did you actually cope with the like sort of added pressure that must have brought?
The pressure felt the same as the push to try and win my first event. It's just kind of something in the background. I did competitive gymnastics in my teens and early 20s. Competition is what it is. You either put the time in or you didn't. And by the time that the event starts, there's nothing left for you to do. You will either perform or you won't. I would have liked to have had some more time in with the list, but I felt with the field as it was presently constructed,
Unbelievable!
that was likely going, like, what I had was likely going to be sufficient.
Right.
I don't think I would have won a 120-player event with the reps I had in under my belts, missions, matchups, things like that. But I felt that I was the best player at the event, and I had the best list at the event, and that was just going to be what it was. Now, Andrew really pushed me in that first game.
My boy Andrew Yells here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So him and I played game 1 in Star Strike, and I got a minor win by 60 kill points.
So what, you killed his, like, just at like his derpy shaman?
No. It wasn't
I
that.
know. When it goes 60, he's killed some of your stuff. You've killed some of his stuff, right?
Yeah. So that was brutal. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be really hard.
He was on his IJ this weekend. That was actually that was a last minute. I don't know if he told you, but like he kind of had to switch on to that last minute. He had sort of been done with IJ for a little while, but he couldn't bring his Skaven on account of something with one of the base sizes for one of his conversions. So he was gonna be Skaven. Would you have preferred to face the Skaven, you think?
I don't think Skaven in general presents a huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think that very specific builds could have been problematic. And in that mission, one of the meteors landed all the way to my left. His landed all the way to my right, and then mine was dead center. So I was going to have to play all the way across the board, and that was going to always be. It's always difficult to play wide like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, and Slaanesh does have a little bit of a Death Star formation in some respects, like more like 3 mini Death Stars, but they do need to have their heroes supporting their lines and stuff. So
well, and in my list, my heroes are my line. Like that's the
right.
Yeah. 12 and 2, Andrew. It was silly. So with his Ard Fist, that actually does allow him to go relatively wide, where he didn't miss a single Ard Fist roll in our game, and I just had to be extra careful.
Mm-hmm.
So I had one combat go a turn longer than I would have liked, and as a result, that forced the tie on points, and then it forced into kill points, and I was playing in bottom of 5, which allowed me to set up the opportunity to do the math and figure out how much it was going to take to get the minor win.
Mm-hmm. So you were just this was a heavyweight fight, 2 people just trading like the big slugs back and forth.
It was. I know Andrew's in the chat. And it's nothing to boost his ego specifically, but that was the most difficult game I had all weekend, hands down.
You guys have like a little bit of a. You keep finding each other on the tables. I think this is like the 4th or 5th time in about since PACA. What?
This is the 4th time we've played at a tournament in 2019. Now, one of the games was me as the ringer at Bruce City Brawl, but it was still a game, and he was still my opponent. So we'll call it 4 games.
Right.
And that was a tough one. Game 2 was against Iron Fist, and I was playing Mike Westendorf from Indy, and he took Best Destruction at the end of the weekend. Him and Andrew had an for Best in Faction, and that was. Yeah, that's correct, Andrew. And their game was fascinating to watch at the end, but with Mike, he grossly mispositioned his Iron Fist, and I think played his Maw Crusher too aggressively on the wrong side, which really allowed me to do kind of whatever I wanted over the course of the game, and took that one out. Game 3 was against a Feast Day Ghoul Patrol, very similar to the Gristlegore Ghoul Patrol list I had been running off of the desk of Dr. Clark. And he rocked up to the table and said, "I'm going to lose. You're a better tournament player than I am. You have a better list than I do." So I looked at him and said, "Okay, well, if you feel that way, we'll just sign the paperwork now, and we'll just be done with this. Like, we don't have to go through this process." Mm-hmm. He said, no, we're going to play it out." I said, "Okay, if that's what you want to do, then that's what we'll do. I got no problem with that."
Oh, hang on, real quick. How do you feel about an opponent saying something like that? I'm curious. I mean, everyone's obviously got a different read, but how do you feel?
I mean, it's fine. Like, if he's given up on the game, then I have no issue. I've already won, and life goes on. So,
right. Would you prefer to play? Would you prefer to play the game, or when an opponent's like that hard checked out? Is it?
Of course, I prefer to play the game. I love the game. I showed up, and I paid good money, and I brought my army. If I'm gonna end the weekend, I want to have played all 5 games and have actually, learned, or have actually like earned what it is that I've gotten. Mm-hmm. So.
That's it. See, I mean, I've I played against Relian just like. I remember being at Midwest Meltdown, and I walk up to it, and I'm like, I'm on the fluffy list against one of the best players, like NA on his Slanesh list, and I'm like, I don't have the tools to really fight this matchup. And I'm like, you know what, fuck it, we'll just line up and see where it goes. But I was like, I knew too that I'm like, if I was on my standard LON, I'm like, okay, maybe I give him a game, and I walked away from that going, like, man, I know I didn't give him a good game, and like feeling self-conscious about not giving my opponent a good game. So that, like, my mentality is a little bit different in quote unquote unwinnable scenarios, or if you're, I think in an any given Sunday sense, you can steal AOS games from better players. It's a game of chance. Sometimes every Star Strike Comet lands exactly where you happen to be, and it's an uphill battle for your opponent type thing. Like there's a reason we play the game, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you play to win the game. And so we were playing the Long Way, Better Part of Valor, which is played long ways now. And instead of like ghoul patrolling and pressing the issue, he decided to play defensively, which was a huge mistake. It allowed me to pick the matchups where and when I wanted them. He wasn't Gristlegore, so he was never going first. And I told him that in the middle of the game, he's like, "Oh, well, I know I've lost. I just want to make it close. I'm playing for the minor." And I put my dice down, I looked at him, I said, "Man, if you're playing for the minor at this point in the game, you've already lost." That's... I was just really frustrated with the way he was talking about the game. Mm-hmm. I'm not expecting all of my opponents to come up to the table big dick swinging, like I'm gonna take it to you.
Like they just unfurl their penis on the table, like I'm gonna fucking win. Like that's how their deployment, metaphorically speaking, goes. Did you then play to deny him the minor?
I played the table and Brad. Like that's the
that's the thing is so Haywo's got a great story. I'll let him tell you about the lizard brain. He shows up to play. He plays Beastclaw Raiders at tournaments, right? Like he is not aiming for top tables, but like his lizard brain turned on because something his opponent said, and he's like, I must crush this guy now. I'll let him tell you the story. But like I've had that lizard brain reaction where like I say like someone Eeyores me at like the table, and I'm like, well, now I just want to prove you right and crush you. Like I don't know what it is. Like it's just this like primal like like the dog is like the animal. If we were animals in the wild, you are wounded, and like now for the health of the pack, you must be destroyed. Like it's something happens when someone's like, oh, why bother? Like that. I can handle just about any personality type in any situation. I understand people have different they're at different sort of places in their socialization, and you know, some people are on the spectrum and stuff, but there's just something about the guy who shows up to the table just like down on the game, I guess. It's just, why are you here? If
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of that. So he's a good friend of Carson's, who's my ATC teammate, and we sat down after the game. We talked about what I felt he did wrong, and one of the things that I told him, because I do have a lot of experience playing Flesh Eater Courts now, is don't try and play Slaanesh while playing Flesh Eater Courts. Play Flesh Eater Courts while playing Flesh Eater Courts. Do what your army does well, and force the issue. Allow your opponent to make the wrong choice. Mm-hmm. Also, don't take the Blood River Chalice. Actually tool your guys out to fight Slaanesh, because Slaanesh inherently has things that make you sad, and so take Doppelganger Cloak. Mm-hmm. You know, let's like, yeah, okay, they made my Terrorgeist fight last. Awesome. The best. Trigger my fight last, you know, you can't fight me until I fight you, Doppelganger Cloak. Let them have it. Mm-hmm. Give them the business. They made that mistake, not you. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that one was, I was frustrated not because of the game, but because my opponent was had already beaten himself and had no interest in entering the game in a competitive sense. Mm. So that was the end of day one. 3-0, 2 majors, 1 minor. Day 2 opens with a Slaanesh off on table 1. Godseekers versus Invaders.
You're on Invaders, right? You're on the better list. Sorry, I mean, you're on Invaders.
Yeah. And every competitive Slaanesh player that I have heard talk about this, speak with me about it, says, if you have Shalaxi, she is there to win you the mirror. And I had Shalaxi, and he did not. So irrational confidence kicked in, and I said, no problem. I got this. I have the mirror, and we were ready to do this. It also helped he did not read the mission and did not know how scoring worked. So he rushed on to 3 objectives that he could control but not score on in one, because we played Escalation. In Escalation, you start points in battle round 2. So he pushed his 3 20-mans of Demonettes onto him. I said, meet, and I killed them all. He rushed his keeper forward, killed my mask. Or no, he didn't kill the mask. He killed like some Hellstriders and did a couple wounds to the mask. And I said, cool, thank you. My keeper rolls over to his keeper and just guts him. And yeah, so that was
he misplayed that round 1 and that put himself in a huge hole.
Yeah, and I doubled him into 2, which had me kill everything but 3 of his heroes. It was 2 Enrapturouses and his Chariot, I think. Something like that. So I was sitting there with just the complete upper hand. Now, he had 54 depravity, so I knew I was going to have to hang on to take that game. But his mistake early cost him the game, and he had to play from the back foot for the rest of it. So that put me into first place. I was the only player at 4-0. Everybody else was at 3-1. And I ran into 40 clan rats, 40 clan rats, 40 clan rats, 40 storm vermin, 40 plague monks, Bell, Vermin Lord, the Warbringer, and the little tiny Eshin hero. 203 models.
Well, the hero formerly known as Deathmaster Snitch. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
203 models. Andrew, would you like to take a guess as to how many models he had at the end of Battle Round 2?
End of Battle Round 2.
Mm-hmm.
He was the big clan, not like no tricks.
Yeah, it was
Master clan. Yeah.
Yeah, his general was the Grayseer Bell, and interesting guess, Brad. 204.
Ways real quick before I guess, and I'm gonna play for time here a little bit. Soren, thank you so much for those gift subs to the chat. Everyone enjoy your emotes. You got Mr. Mef CU, Mr. Mef Smug will actually get you this cute little emoji of Nagash. Be sure to go into like Rob's chat and just spam the crap out of my emotes and his stuff sometime. And then yeah, and at 35 we'll have one more emote coming at you. So thank you so much for that, Soren. And chat, enjoy your emotes. I'm gonna go in the middle. You killed 100 models.
There were 37 models left on the table.
Jesus.
It was the Vermin Lord Warbringer, the Grayseer Bell, and then 35 Clan Rats. That's all that's left. Going into top of 3.
Oh, man. So that was a quick game then, huh?
Yeah, and so it was played in the Realm of Death, and I asked the TO, because there's that super great command ability in the Realm of Death that lets you do damage to a hero within 3 inches of the general, and the number of wounds that you allocate is the number of wounds that you heal. There was a piece of commanding terrain on my side of the table. I started Battle Round 1 with 10 command points.
Oh, man. Just
So I asked Zach before I did it, because I said to my opponent, hey, I'm potentially going to do something really stupid. Before I even tell you what it's going to be, I would just like to have the TO come over and make a rule. And so I got Zach over, and because I had talked to Zach about this months before the tournament. Back in like ATC, just after ATC and 2.0 rules came out, and I was like, Invader is dumb, lots of command points, this is stupid.
You found the combo already. You were waiting to like use it in the wild.
Right. So I said, hey, here's what the rule is. How do you want to handle it? And I couldn't do it turn 1 because my generals were within 12 inches of each other. But I was setting up for turn 2 to do something like 13 times 8. So that's what? 104 depravity points at no penalty to me. And just flood the board with everything in my box.
Which is really a very Slaneshi thing to do, if you ask me.
Yeah. So,
this is a bad one. I'm sorry.
He told me, no, you can't do it to yourself. You have to pick another unit. And I said that's fine. And my opponent said, well, that's good, because if you said it was, legal, he said we were just going to shake and call it, because he said there's no way I could beat a 4,000 point army with 2,000 points of skaven. So, yeah. So I tabled him in turn 3 and shook, and that put me at 5-0, and that meant no one was going to catch me. And that was the tournament.
So did you just start like doing the Vince McMahon walk around, like the like super exaggerated arm swinging? Just like did you do a lap?
No, there's no need to. It's one of those things where you just kind of know there's no reason to act like that in the moment. You handled your business. It is what it is, and I get to sit here on RantCast with 2 dragons.
Yeah, awesome. So do you have a highlight memory that didn't involve the table itself, or something that from the weekend?
So Nick and I went to dinner on Saturday at a pizza place.
Is this Dr. Nick?
No, this is my buddy Nick.
Okay.
From college.
Right.
He's not a doctor. And we were at this restaurant, and the power like flipped off real quick. And when we sat down at this bar, there was a television facing us, and the power goes out for just a moment. And I'm like, wow, that was super weird. And Nick looks up and he goes, Brendan, am I insane? There was a TV there, right? And I look up, and sure enough, where there had been a television, there was no longer a television. And I just kind of look at him, and I was like, I'm not crazy, right? Like there was a TV there. He's like, yeah, he's pretty sure. I was like, well, what do we do about this? Like, this is, like we weren't like 10 drinks in or anything crazy like that.
Where you start to have time travel powers after a certain number of drinks, I've found, where like I do anyway, but I can only time travel forward.
Yeah, so we're sitting there, we're kind of freaking out, because here was like the clearest evidence I've ever seen of reality shifting in front of me. And I was like, okay, well, we'll ask the waitress the next time she comes by. And so she comes over. We're like, hey, super crazy question for you. There was a TV facing us when we came in. There is no longer, and like, I'm telling you, it was 7-8 feet away from us. She's like, oh yeah, they move and turn and like can be in different places, and someone requested the Notre Dame Michigan game and it's there now. It was like, oh thank God.
You thought you had your like glitch in the Matrix moment, like in real time. That's awesome.
Yeah, just
or if it were the Mage the Ascension, that's how reality explained it to you, and it really did teleport. Like it had to retroactively, like reality had to repair itself.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm glad there was at least a reasonable explanation. So, we'll take it. Yeah, so that was the fun part. I gave my best opponent vote to my round 4 opponent, the Slaanesh player. He really loved on Slaanesh. He loved Slaanesh super hard, and he was playing it well before the book. He loves that army, and he played it the way that he loved the army, and yeah. So with one of my early interactions with him at the table is he was talking about which of the rings of Slaanesh's hell that he would most likely get trapped in, and he asked me, well, what about you? And I said, man, I haven't read the lore in an Age of Sigmar book in months, if not years. And he's like, well, I'm all about the pleasure part of Slaanesh. And I looked at him in the eyes and I said, I'm about the pain part of this.
Oh, man. So actually, you just gave me my segue automatically. Are you going to read the lore in the Ossiarch Bonereapers book when it arrives? Or are you just going to skip?
I actually will.
Yeah.
So I think the last bit of the lore in a book I read was either Beasts of Chaos or Legions.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it was definitely Legions if it wasn't Beasts of Chaos. I am all in on Ossiarch Bonereapers. I sent my RFQ into Ministomp, and I have been looking around my basement as to what 40k armies I can sell. So if there is anybody who wants a Tau or Dark Eldar army, hit me up. I need cash.
Yeah, I'm selling my Blood Angels too. So you've got look at that. If you've been thinking about getting into 40k, there are two fine entrepreneurs that have a different armies for you to jump in on. Yeah, this is I've already got my my initial pre-order in. I guess the next set of pre-orders comes up this. They said this weekend, right? Confirmed, or is that just rumor?
No, pre-order Saturday.
Oh my god.
Whole range, everything.
I'm sorry, Colin. I like Colin and all, but I think he's gonna go into the trades, and Lily's gonna be the one that gets to go to college. So, Daddy's gonna buy some Bone Reapers. Although Soren did donate to the Tithe, so maybe I can buy Colin a semester now instead of I'm gonna take the whole fund. You're selling 3,500 points of Astra Militarum. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, so I'm the Stormcast podcast on Bone Reapers was really good. I have this problem where I tend to like only really cue in on stuff that I'm already super interested in. So like I'll just let stuff like fall to the back burner in terms of like my listening habits. But of the Stormcasts I've heard, this was like certainly my favorite, obviously because of content. But the excitement that they had on that episode, I remember they're talking about like the War Scroll for the Bone Tithe Nexus, you know, and they're like little and how like sometimes the people that are like paying the tithe build the Nexus for the Bone Reapers, and the Bone Reapers just come and like scoop up the bones and then leave. So like you don't have to go into the city and like get murdered. Like they were talking about like the Empire and the story for Orpheon Katakros himself, where he basically like he tanks a shot from Galmaraz, and he's like, is that the like he does the like that the best you got type thing. And you know, Sigmar did the only reasonable thing you could do to someone as awesome as Orpheon Katakros, Mortarch of the Necropolis, is he dropped a storm vault on him, hoping he'd never get out. Yeah, like Nagash was so Nagash. What was this? This was in the Age of Chaos, or maybe it was the Age of Myth. I can't remember quite the timeline. But basically, you know, like Orpheon Katakros is now just like hanging out in is just hanging out in the Bone Reapers land, the part of Shyish they inhabit, and they talked about like a map and how we're actually like seeing the Mortal Realms map complete as new armies are being released. So we've always had like Nagash and like sort of the centerpiece, and like, oh no, if they're like right next to it is like the Ossian Empire, and like so now there's like another chunk of map, and like the world is actually the Mortal Realms are filling up. That blank canvas is being painted in. I think it's fucking awesome. But like basically, you know, like Katakros is there, and Nagash is like, okay, time for me to, you know, take back my realms. You know, I've been away. You know, Papa's been sleeping, but now I'm awake, and it's time to conquer. And Katakros like he's like, okay, like Nagash does his standard thing, just tries to drown it in skeletons. Orpheon Katakros actually withstands the onslaught, and then Nagash is like, wait, I'm gonna have to use real fucking power on this shit? Like, I'm gonna have to, like, come off the bench? And so, like, Nagash actually, like, comes off the bench to siege, Katakros' like, hometown, basically, in Shyish. And Katakros is, like, he sees the writings on the wall now at this point. He's like, okay, Nagash is gonna win, but I'm gonna kill my way to his doorstep and ask for a job. And, like, he just, like, murders all the way to Nagash's doorstep and like just hands Nagash's resume, and it just says like "am a badass" on it, and just boom, hired, like on the spot. So yeah, that Stormcast, like, you know, I think I'm at like 300% hype. I've been at like 100% hype for a long time, and then like every rule, and then like I'm gonna, you know, if I don't end up filming RantCast, you know, next week, send help. You know, send Twitter messages. You'll know I've gone like Twitter blackout.
I'll have my book in hand on Wednesday, and I am so excited to be out of work and just make my way over to the place that will give me that book early that shouldn't, and just take it home with me, light a few candles, and just enjoy a nice evening. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, as far as Nick, the bastardization of Machiavelli writing The Prince. Look, steal like an artist. What is it? Good artists borrow, great artists steal. Every story that's ever been told comes from some other story. You know, we've as a society, as a you know, as a species, we've been staring at the same stars. You know, we've been feeling the same winds and you know, eating the same fucking foods and stuff. Like, there's nothing new. We're only just borrowing all this fucking knowledge. So my thing is, if you're gonna like write a story or something like that, be fucking shameless about it. Own it. So I don't care that it sounds like a bastardization of another thing. Like, how do you know that Orpheon Katakros wasn't the first iteration of that story and other people ripped that off, huh? Galaxy brain. So we do have, though, because there are people out there who
begging for insights.
Are begging for insights, and we've gleaned some because, you know, there are some War Scrolls. The War Scrolls are actually in the AOS app. You can go into it. You can't go into Azir, you won't get them. But if you just search through your app, you can see all these War Scrolls and stuff. I've got a few of them up here that were easily accessible, just so you have a point of visual interest to stare at. I've also managed to
I'm pulling mine up so that I can read along with you, because I'll always be on delay.
Yeah, and then Frank here did a lot of the legwork for me and actually managed to track down some points and stuff. So we can have a good conversation, and then speculate some speculation on what we think good builds are going to be with the army, kind of where we think it'll settle in power level wise, and, you know, maybe I mean, I don't care that people know what I'm going to run. All of it. I'm gonna run all of the armies. But, or I'll just like this is just the really, really longest con ever. I'm gonna be showing pictures of all my Ossiarch Bonereapers and stuff, but then I'm gonna show up to Paka with Slanesh.
Ooh, plot twist.
So what does Nagash do?
Everything.
Heavy D6. Thank you for that sub. So heavy.
So Nagash is 880 points now. And you say to me, Brendan, that feels like a lot of points. I'm going to tell you, well, it is. But he's even better now.
That's the thing. Nagash wasn't really 850 points before. That's the problem. He was 850 points plus you had to buy complimentary pieces for him. So it was really like he was 1,000 points before. With this super intelligent changes to the War Scroll, that it is 880 points of pure value now. So what does he do, Brendan?
So his profile remains the same. Movement, attacks, all of that's the same. His damage table's the same. It's where you start getting into his abilities is where things are different. So now he's at the start in 8 cast, 8 unbind, +3, +3. The Staff of Power now...
Importantly, his 3 unbind has shifted to also be Dispel.
Yes.
So he actually dispels like the spell door a lot easier now, because I don't know how many times, you know, people walk up to me, oh, how many Hand of Death did you cast last game? And I'm like, I literally couldn't dispel my goddamn spell portal. So, like, I didn't get to cast it a second time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, speaking of casting multiple times, he can now cast Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield as many times as he likes, as long as, you know, you're within that number of casting limits on the scroll.
So good.
So good.
He's a minigun. He's a freaking spell minigun. If you feel like it. You really just can just like 8 Mystic Bolts. Go for those D3s. 8. You're probably gonna get, you know, you're probably not gonna get D3s every time, but I don't know. I'd take like 5 D3 plus 3 or something like that for just for the funsies.
Yeah. So does he take? Yeah, he's still taking for Legions and Nagash. Yep. He's still all good. This is just a base change to his War Scroll. So his Frightful Touch changed to be an unmodified 6. Morcane is the same. So that's his armor. 4-up, ignore mortal wounds on 6s. You kick back the mortal. The books are the same. So his healing changed. So before it was just summonable units. Now it's 5 friendly summonable units or friendly Ossiarch Bonereapers units in any combination, anyone on the table. They can heal up to 3 wounds that have been allocated to that unit, or if no wounds have been allocated, you can return a number of slain models to a unit with a combined wounds characteristic of 3 or less. So that's just straight. There's no rolling for it anymore. There's no, he's Nagash, you can re-roll it. It's 5 units, it's 3 wounds. So you always get Spirit Host back. You always get a Kavalos Death Rider back. You always roll that 2, where sometimes you would roll that 1. You always have enough points to do the thing it is that you need to do, as long as that model is 3 wounds or less, or that model is injured, and then you get 3 points. The important thing here is this states it's Bone Reaper units, so you can heal Katakros. In a Bone Reaper's army, Nagash and Arkhan gain the Ossiarch Bonereapers keyword. They can heal themselves.
See, that's a brilliant interaction. You're always this is going to compensate for potentially losing, and we're waiting on an FAQ on one of the big changes we'll get to in a second. This helps with not being able to take that vampire spell lore potentially, right?
Right.
Being able to heal himself for 3. But it's a trade-off now. Instead of, healing with a spell and then, invocating some models, you're choosing either getting the models back or healing Nagash. What this War Scroll did, and it's really, the changes were slight but impactful, and the end result is consistency. It's stuff you can count on when you play Nagash now instead of gambles or small gambles.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and Raylan, I would be shocked if they came in and fact that. That's obviously not the intent on this one. Like that is clearly the interaction. We will find this language in Ossiarch Bonereapers on Katakros' scroll. That's what this does. So one of the big major changes to this is Nagash knows all of the spells of Death Wizards on the table. But
I like that. I like that, and I like the trade-off that you're about to talk about. And so go ahead and finish it up, and I'll.
In the Ossiarch Bonereapers book, if you take Nagash, he knows the entire lore of the Ossiarch Bonereapers. So those 6 spells, he knows all of them. So you aren't sitting there being like, oh, is my turn on Playin Realms? Is it not Playin Realms? Is it only the base spell on the realm? Like, you have all the spells in your pocket that you'll ever need.
Yep. Yeah, this plays to that consistency thing. Continue.
Yeah. And the spells in the Ossiarch Bonereaper lore are kick-ass.
See, I haven't seen them yet, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, so since we're here, I can talk about them real quick. I didn't have the names written down, but here you go. The first one is cast on a 5, you get D3 discipline points.
Cool.
Next one is cast on a 5. It gives you +1 on your Natterite.
Nagash is auto-casting both of these, so Nagash just became spend a spell slot, get D3 discipline points.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
On a 5, you get to add +1 to the Natterite roll. So all of your base guys have what are called Natterite weapons, where on 6s to hit, they turn into 2 hits instead of 1. So it's +1, so those trigger on 5s. Or if you've got spears with the horsey boys on the charge, those are 4s. The next one's really good, and is one that Nagash benefits from a lot. Cast on a 6, you get a 5-up negate wounds or mortal wounds. If you happen to fail that 5-up save, after all of the wounds have been allocated, you can pick up that model and move him anywhere on the table more than 9 inches away from enemy models.
What? So he gets another shrug.
Mm-hmm.
And potential for a teleport.
Yes.
Do you know how good teleporting Nagashus is? when people are trying to dodge a spell door.
Yeah, obviously. And so when I get to the end of the spell door, I'm going to tell you one more thing that is super silly about this.
Okay.
About Nagash, specifically. The next one, cast on a 6. The target unit has to be something with a shield or an Immortis shield, and they get a 5-up shrug save as well. Yeah.
Wound yourself and fucking teleport.
Next one, cast on a 6. You pick a unit within 18 inches. They have to reroll successful hit and save rolls of 6.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they have to re-roll their 6s if they.
Yeah, except for wounds. Yeah, hits and saves of 6s they have to re-roll.
So you're turning off potentially somebody's cheese with this.
Correct. Yes.
Cool.
The last one, cast on a 7. You pick an enemy unit within 18 inches, and at the end of each phase that unit does damage, on a 3-up, it takes D3 mortal wounds.
Trying to process here. So how are you using this?
You would cast it early and put it on a unit, and you go, here you go, have fun. I know you want to kill things, but when you do, you're going to die. Okay,
so you put this on with your immolation skeletons now, this would combo, would it not?
So you put it on an enemy unit.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
You're right.
Okay.
So when they do outgoing damage, they, at the end of that phase, take D3 mortal wounds.
And it's important to note that you can't not... You can not pile in, but you can't not fight now in Age of Sigmar. You have to fight. So you charge in, you're going to force them to fight you. Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Frank, that from what I have understood, that is correct. So we're like, wow, that's really crazy. This is in Nagash's pocket. So Nagash and Arkhan aren't naturally in Ossiarch Bonereapers, but you can take them in Ossiarch Bonereapers, and they gain the Ossiarch Bonereapers keyword.
This is the cities rule we've been seeing with Sylvaneth and
Stormcast and Caradron Overlords.
Yeah.
Yes. So they gain the Ossiarch Bonereapers keyword. Now, when you take a sub-faction, let's just say Petrifex, for instance, it's Ossiarch Bonereapers, get the Petrifex keyword, and get +1 save. Nagash has a 2-up save with 8 Mystic Shields casting attempts. He's a 2-up, rerolling 1s with all of these sweet buff debuffs.
And he's actually got a way to turn spell slots into damage, too, which is another important thing. Melee Nagash, the melee monster Nagash is coming back from 1.0.
YOLO solo Nagash. Here we go.
Oh, man, people are going to be so mad. Okay, before everyone goes running to pull, the fire alarm on Nagash, him being back in the building, it's... A lot of other armies have gotten a lot more tools now. So, I think he's back. I think he's off the shelf. Absolutely. But, other armies have more tools to hopefully deal with Nagash now. You're looking at Cornless that can put a -7 to cast on you. And, Nagash is going to hate fighting that army.
Yeah, that's going to be unpleasant. But that's okay. So
you're allowed to have bad matchups, right?
Mm-hmm.
So...
so to Frank's question, I don't know if that's necessarily correct. It's not mentioned because they are still command abilities, and command abilities spend command points in all other situations. I think that's going to be one of the things that's addressed immediately in the first FAQ, is how you would play Ossiarch Bonereapers in a mixed death army. Also, at present, Legions doesn't have the ability to ally in Ossiarch Bonereapers because they didn't exist So
they might errata it like what they did with Nighthaunt, where they might just asterisks a couple units in Ossiarch Bonereapers that can just be taken in Legions and Nagash too. We could see something like that.
mm-hmm.
Which
Yep.
which I don't know if I don't know if that's the most likely thing, because, you know, command abilities versus relentless discipline points, they're worded virtually using the same language, but the resource is different, and we might need an FAQ to explain that. Like, if you can ally OBR back into Legions of Nagash, right, and it says, you know, use this command ability, well, like, you're supposed to be using a discipline point, maybe that shuts off entirely now. Like, that could be a very likely outcome. Like, it's just the price you pay for playing out a faction, which is honestly fine. You play a faction kind of for a reason. You know, we moved away from like the mixed order, mixed destruction type stuff for the most part. But my question is actually Nagash in Legion of Nagash. Does he get both? Does he get both spell lores?
So right now the answer is no. Right now the answer is he still gets 3 spells total from that combination.
Because it's in the Ossiarch Bonereaper book that he gets. So
Frank, if your army is Ossiarch, you cannot use command points. That's specific to the book, not the War Scrolls. But right. So that's how the Legion's book is written. Is it's 3 spells specifically. But in Ossiarch, it's written he gets the lore.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see an errata with LON where they're like, oh, pick one of the lords or something like that. Or
and I don't think you can have this book exist, Ossiarch Bonereapers, without addressing the elephant in the room, and that's how it deals with legions.
Right. Conceivably, I don't know if anyone if any of the leaks, you know, Man Read's book or stuff like that we've been going off of for our information, if anyone made it to see the allies chart for Ossiarch Bonereapers.
No allies.
No allies? I'm fine.
No allies.
I feel like it's a trade-off. I mean, this army just continues to reinforce its design philosophies at every turn. They're elite. They're Nagash's fucking. They're his chosen ones. You know, like they're. So no allies list, but that doesn't mean that LON itself won't have like allies back like the other way, because this Ossiarch Bonereapers isn't Nagash's army. Grand Host is his army, right? So conceivably, him being, you know, the OG, he should be able to have like his new toys in that army too. You know, an ally pool makes sense to me. So, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 up, 5 up, 6 up, teleporting Nagash, like, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, like, he's built himself new technology like any good scientist. He keeps the best inventions for himself. Is this his final form? No way. No. So, do you think Nagash is going to be the predominant build?
No. Not in the slightest. Okay. I think there's value to running him at a lot of points of Mortek Guard, but the fact that he's 880 points really makes things difficult. So,
I mean, you're already dealing with an elite army. It's not like you have 280 points buys you a 40 block of ghosts or skeletons, you know, to stretch out that value in bodies. You're really feeling the tax, the Nagash tax in his army. Thank you so much for that host there, Pro Tabletop. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
that being. Oh, go ahead.
He's a lot to spend. If you're gonna play him, you're gonna build specifically to playing him. Nagash lists aren't gonna look like any other Ossiarch Bonereapers lists.
I can second that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the Petrifex and then just taking a bunch of Mortek Guard, I think, is really what you're going to see. But you're giving up a ton of mobility if you kind of pigeonhole into that route, right? So, so you're going to see some of the old problems of Legions of Nagash with 80 bodies pre-ghosts, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
But I mean, it's a fun way to play the game. I'm just having like these flashbacks to like this time last year when Nagash was played heavily, but he wasn't the best way to play LON even at the time. I thought, well, he was the best because he's the coolest. But competitively speaking,
yeah, I disagree.
Yeah.
He was the best.
You think he was the best? All right.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were doing work with like Sacrament, and a lot of people were doing a lot of work with like double Vlasta builds and stuff like that. Were pretty good. So that's Nagash. He's going to be a very specific build. I think you could see your exploding skeletons plus Nagash. That Twitter has been upset about. I think it'll be fine. I'm prepared to. I told LLV I'd buy him a box of stupid dwarves if I'm wrong, and Nagash plus exploding skeletons ends up being a 70% win rate army. So.
Wow, that's quite the bet there.
Yeah, well, I think I said a win rate like akin to DOK or Slanesh. So, so I'll give him some wiggle room. I'll give him a 3% swing either direction. But I'm that's how confident I am that this is going to be good, but I don't think it'll be oppressive, and that's what you want. You want something that's great even, and it gives me an excuse to play with my favorite model again, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like people, right?
Yeah. So I think you'll see him
early.
I don't think that's anywhere near the best way to play Bone Reapers. But he's good. There will be lists that physically cannot do anything about him.
That was always the Nagash puzzle, though. Some armies could not beat just a Nagash, right? Like, some armies just didn't have the tools to beat just Nagash, like a year ago. Like, that was it was like a big litmus test. Like, can you deal with Nagash? Especially when he was his YOLO solo form with the 2-up re-rolling ones, right? Like, or 2-up re-rolling.
And that's how AOS 2.0 developed. Was the question had to be asked is how did you deal with Nagash? How did you deal with like 27 eels? And how's that?
Yeah, those are the questions you had to ask yourself. And now you have to ask that question except of more armies, which is why I still firmly believe.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. So I mean, when you're building your Nagash list, you're gonna have to like, can I beat eels? You know, like do I have enough? You know, you're gonna have those litmus tests. So Arkhan's come up a couple times here in chat, so we'll go on to Arkhan next. Rip Curse of Years, apparently.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
So his profile again remains the same. The thing that changed is so he can also he has as many as 3 casts, right? That's the thing on here. 3 casts and it doesn't scale. He gets +2/+2, but it's not listed as unbind on my notes.
Unbind or dispel from the GW site. So
okay, great, because I've just got it on my phone. So
yeah,
he can cast Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield just like Nagash times. He can pick 4 units wholly within 24 inches, same as Nagash. It's straight 3. His Frightful Touch is an unmodified 6, as we've seen.
This is just cleaning up the language for the new edition.
Yep, his First of the Mortarchs is cleaned up. So you can't use this command ability. You can't affect the same characters multiple times. Cool. The thing that changed with Curse of Years is it did clean up the language. It's my reading. You don't have that negation phase anymore. So you roll those 10 dice. For every 6, you get to roll the next one. You get to roll the next one. You get to roll the next one. You get to roll the next one until you get to 1s, and 1s always fail. But if you can roll a 2 or better until that unit's dead, then good for you, man.
Yeah, so you can't go like logistically infinite anymore with it.
Correct.
And I mean, you're still on average like 3 mortals with the spell?
Yeah, the result is on average the D3 mortal wounds, Arcane Bolt typically, but the ceiling is technically infinity, so I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, it has been. I know, Kyle. Yeah. So like, it's probably just and what Relian, what Brad said here in chat, it ignores no longer reduce the dice sequence of Curse of Years, which is a buff, but ones always fail, which is a nerf. So in the end, I think what we're saying is this is just a cleaned up spell that is more balanced. And
Yep.
and that's just a thread I've seen so far. I was wrong on RantCast. I said I didn't think Nagash or Arkhan were getting new War Scrolls apart from just some cleaned up language. I think that I've seen enough changes on Nagash to be like, no, this is new enough. It wasn't just like, hey, he heals OBR. They reworked how he casts and stuff like that. I think it's new enough. So I lost my bet with myself there.
Yeah, and Arkhan's 360. He knows all of the spells in the lore, and he also gains the Ossiarch Bonereaper keyword, which you could put him in Petrifex and be a 3-up.
Yeah, I think Arkhan will probably see a little bit more play than Nagash.
Yes. Yeah, because if you pair him with Katakros, you can basically have the equivalent result of a Nagash.
Yeah. That was always Arkhan's kind of like superpower. Is he was a build your own Nagash, and you could do like with Vlazda plus Arkhan or whatever your chicanery, and he's kind of like I think it's a lot easier to pay for 360 point triple wizard than an 880 point what is it, octuple wizard.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier to pin Nagash down. Nagash is 880 points, and he you can just lock him down with a really durable unit, and he is movement 9, and without wings, he's not that movement 14 that he was. You really have to use that teleporting spell to your advantage, but that counts on you taking damage, which doesn't feel like a great plan in the back of my head. Yeah. Now, you can spend the discipline points to move him that extra 3 inches, putting him at 12, but...
Yeah, I mean, you used to be able to, when you rolled the straight 10 or whatever, you would get that double pinions off, and Nagash is suddenly just like, pew! Like, he's just a fucking torpedo. He doesn't have that anymore, which I think is being overlooked when we're talking about how he got, like, I think he got better, but he also, there was a trade-off. He got consistent, but now you're missing that pinions to give him the movement. I mean, pinions, basically, I got to double cast the pinions and escape the rat trap, because I could just slide through and, like, here we go. Rip poor Skaven player. But yeah, the pinions is gone now. Arkhan is 16-inch movement before the first chart, flying, and
you can be really stupid with Arkhan, because you give him the teleport spell when he takes damage. He becomes a 3-up, 5-up, 6-up. If a wound happens to get through, gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got. I mean, his greatest weakness has always been he's squishy as hell. He sort of self-protects now, in a way that he didn't in his own, like, Lords of Sacrament. So I think that's pretty cool. Next up, I've got Morghasts. Nothing really changed here. They just gained the Hekatos, which is important.
Correct.
Yeah.
You cannot cast Curse of Years multiple times. No. Yeah, the Morghasts are the same. The only difference is they're 210 points for 2 now. So, cool. But again, you can run them in any of the sub-factions. So they can be Praetorians, they can be Petrifex, they can be Ivory Hosts, they can be No Myriad. Like, they get all that benefit too.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, this is the big buff, really, and absolutely, is they got the Hekatos, which means the biggest problem with Morghast is they outrun basically anything in the Nagash, in Old Legions of Nagash. And it's hard to have somebody within range of them to give them, their death save and their other tools. They just have that natively, projecting it to themselves now. And their damage, I believe, mathed out, is still amongst the highest of any of the units, even in Ossiarch Bonereapers. So they're fucking can openers.
Right, so they can still benefit from the Liege-Kavalos' command ability, which is like Endless Duty or something like that, where you get +1 attack. So 4 attacks on the halberd is pretty good. They still get the benefit because they're Bone Reapers of +1 to hit. That's generated all over the army. +1 to hit is unbelievably common. It's Katakros has the Liege keyword. +1 to hit is so impossibly common, and it is just...
Yeah. They get their own death save while themselves on the flank. Plus, their footprint is really a unit of 2 Morghast. It's really hard to screen for them with the punch they're bringing. I was running them pre AOS 2.0 while I was waiting to get my Black Knight's table ready. So I had just like one. I called him my threat seeking missile. A lot of the times for KO is to just have them make the 11-inch charge and blow up like 25. 26 Archnaut company, like just shoot that missile out. They're like, later boys, you're not coming back from this. The other thing is they were held back in Legion of Nagash by not having the summonable keyword for all the force multiplication and all the allegiance abilities. In Ossiarch Bonereapers, they enjoy the full complement of allegiance abilities, which is
which is so much. That is the strength of the book. The War Scrolls on the surface are fun. If you looked at just about any of these War Scrolls in a vacuum, all right, cool, like, this is neat. The strength of this army relies in the battle traits, the command abilities, and the unique functions of the army. All of those, the way I picture it, is interlocking gears that occur throughout the build. When you get all of those gears in the right combination, man, this is just gonna rip the lid off of so many armies. I think they have a few tools to do battle with Slaanesh. Now, I'm not saying, like, I am in no way, shape, or form saying, like, this is the army that beats them. If we want to see Slaanesh go on, you got to run these. It's I think they have tools to make life difficult.
In the way that Ironjaws is a little bit of a... If played right, Ironjaws is a real Slaanesh bully. I think these guys are going to bully Slaanesh a little bit. That doesn't mean they're going to just... Suddenly, Slaanesh is going to job to them. Because you're going to have to play... You're going to have to play smart. You have to play this army smart.
You forget playing Slaanesh smart. You have to play every game smart. This is not going to be one of those things where you rock up to the table with your kitted out Ossiarch Bonereapers list. You sit down and you're like, my list is better than yours. Get wrecked, fool.
Yeah, you just you compare lists at the beginning and then just okay, yep, you win and walk away. You have to play this army.
Yeah, there are so many decision points. Even though you generate your discipline points like the faucet's on, you still have to use them smart because you get the pool at the start of the round, and that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're gonna...
Unbelievable!
The OBR will play hardest in the list building phase. I like building lists though. I love theorycraft and stuff, and then you take that and then you apply it and see, did this check out, and then and actually play it. I've already got the wheels spinning on about 2 or 3 lists. I don't even count my Nagash list because I was Nagash plus body is running as Ossiarch Bonereapers. That's not even a decision. That's just... It's already made. It's a foregone conclusion.
That's the build.
The build is Nagash. Yeah. Hey Tronzo, how's it going, my friend? Yeah. See, there's a lot to be excited here. The other sort of official War Scrolls I've got here are the Endless Spells, and the big takeaway I saw from these Endless Spells is the most expensive one is 40 points.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so it's 20 points for the bird, 30 points for the pillar, and 40 points for the predator.
Okay, do you want to talk about the Endless Spells at all? Because I actually kind of love this carrion. I actually kind of love the bird. I'm kind of a big fan of it.
What it does is really useful. I'm a big fan of the Shrieker.
Okay. So, Soulstealer Carrion, this is a predatory endless spell that can move up to 16 inches and fly. And this is the one that gives you get line of sight from the bird. Now, one thing about all endless spells, or all the Ossiarch Bonereaper endless spells, is only Ossiarch Bonereapers get to play with them. They're essentially the activation wars of spells, too, because it says at the beginning, you get to move. As I was reading the rule, it's like you get to move your stuff first, and then they can move, and then non-soul linked stuff moves. I think is how the rule was written, but yeah. Yeah, so like after an exhaustive list building week or two, the consensus will be that there aren't enough points to go around in general. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're gonna have that. Something that's gonna happen with this army is you're gonna get through sort of like the core building stage of your list, and then you're like, okay, I've got like my core list with the main theme that I'm building towards, what I want to do. And then those last 500 points are suddenly just gonna feel like the tightest 500 points you've ever seen. You know,
Yeah.
like
it gets you like two selections out of the book.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of Beasts of Chaos. Where you're like, oh, I could buy like all of the chariots now, or
And you're like, I have 700 points left. What am I supposed to do with this army? Like, I have 70 models.
yeah, that's Beasts of Chaos land. Yeah, you're gonna get through your like sort of your core building phase, what your theme is. If you want your exploding skeletons, if you want your Diablo exploding skeleton factory, like that's your build. So like that's gonna push you towards getting your Mortek Guard because you just want extra stuff. And then you're gonna be like, okay, well now what? I need to project power in this way. I need to shore up this matchup, and then those points get really tight near the end. I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, the Carrion, Soul Thief, at the end of each phase, roll a dice if any Chaos, Destruction, or Order models were slain within 6 inches of it during that phase. On a 1 to 2, heal 1 wound allocated to the caster Soul Link to this model. On a 3 to 4, inflict 1 to each thing. It's not great, but it's just...
Well, it's great for chipping away at heroes, right?
Right.
So you take Arkhan, you cast your burb, and then you machine gun Arcane Bolt out at these guys. You plank these wounds off. It triggers. You take some more wounds off. It's about grind.
It's an engine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool little engine. I like it, and I like the cute little interaction it has. Plus, I've been making little memes of like the bird friend. Nightmare Predator. Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah. Let me pull it up here real quick.
Okay.
Nightmare Predator. So I like the Shrieker the most, but the Nightmare Predator feels like a more viable version of the Wrath Axe of Khorne.
Mm-hmm.
So it casts on a 7, Predatory, set it up wholly within 6. When you set it up, you pick its quarry. It moves 2d6 and can fly. After it moves, you pick each unit within 3 inches of it. On a 2-up, suffers d3 mortal wounds. If it's the prey, on a 2-up, it suffers d6. Bonereapers units cannot be affected by this ability.
Yeah. So damage is the name, and they all do something extra. And then the Shrieker, which is your MVP here. We saved the best for last.
Yeah, for 30 points, you can take the Bone Tithe Shrieker. You set it up wholly. It casts on a 5. Set it up wholly within 12 inches of the caster. It's predatory, moves 8 inches and flies. It kicks out a 12-inch bubble of -1 bravery to non-Bonereaper units, and you get to add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by Ossiarch Bonereapers units that target a unit that is within 12 inches of this model. +1 to hit.
Yeah. Area
of effect. Boom.
Yeah. It's a nice little steroid on a spell. That's actually really awesome. Death has always been one of the top tier casty armies. And they kind of, I like that they're maintaining their OG status a little bit. Like,
Me too.
Me too. Do you have some allegiance abilities written down to go through, or?
Yeah, I took quick top level notes. So everybody in your army ignores Battle Shock. It's not the Battle Shock phase. You just don't take Battle Shock tests.
Mm-hmm.
So if my reading of that rule is if there's something that triggers you to take that out of phase, you don't have to.
Didn't they, hang on real quick, Colorado AOS, I believe that's Greg. Didn't they actually FAQ Morathi to now, like, the out-of-sequence damage doesn't actually accelerate her death? I thought didn't I read? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I guess you can do some out-of-sequence damage to Morathi, chase her around. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah,
so the first one is you don't take battle shock tests. If you're wholly within 6 inches of a hero or Hekatos, or if there's a Hekatos in your unit, if I remember correctly, you have your 6-up death save. It's part of being in Grand Alliance Death. You get your shrug. You generate discipline points at the start of the battle round. You get a discipline point for every hero, every liege, every war scroll battalion. Katakros gets 3, which puts him at 5. And then you roll a dice for every Ossiarch Bonereapers unit in your army, and on a 6 you get another discipline point.
Mm-hmm.
So every liege is worth 2, Katakros is worth 5, every little hero is 1, every battalion is 1, and every unit gives you a shot at another one. But that's the points you get in that turn. Now it rolls over, but that's all you get for that round.
Yeah, so you're not just can you spend multiple on the same unit to do like multiple stuff? Like if you want, I want the sucker with the extra movement, and I want it to have its bonus to hit. Can you pile up like just? Can you blow through the lottery tickets like just pow cash them all?
My understanding is yes. Okay. Obviously, I don't have the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the man reads book. Man wrote down notes from man who reads book and tells you words.
Yeah.
So,
But that's nice because now people are just going to have to go listen to the Cubic Shenanigans episode, and they're going to get the total package of all the information because the book will come out. I kind of took a gamble when I scheduled this episode on when I thought the book would be out.
You and I both. I was hoping for about a week earlier, so it is what it is. So Frank's right. Each one can only affect a unit once, but like you could put 5 different command abilities on that unit as long as they're eligible. So like in Petrifex, the one on there is Rend -1. You can give Katakros' ability for +1 to hit. You can take the Liege for +1 attack. You can, if you're Kavalos, you can take the wedge and do your impact hits in the charge phase. You can do all of these different things, but you can't do the same thing multiple
You can't
times.
stack them. Yeah, I mean this isn't early like pre-fac AOS 2.0 where like people where everything had just a like no ceiling and you could burn through all the extra command points.
Yeah, it looks like it's written with very clear intent on what they want the result to be out of how these abilities work, because they are very good abilities.
But what they're doing, and what I want to reiterate to people, is if your army does skew elite, it's giving you the tools to not, like, you still don't have the bodies to just be like, okay, 60 gits are on this point, and I have minuses to hit. This becomes a problem. But you're given the tools to punch a little bit above your model count weight class. I just see them having done elite pretty awesomely. And if this is supposed to be the elite tactician's army, they've really set up an army that is the elite tactician's army with how it plays on the table. So your fluff meets your rules flavor. This is 10 out of 10, I think, in terms of like proof of premise or proof of concept. I like that. I like that Tithe is already calling you on your shirt.
It's you gotta, if you didn't watch the intro, when we're done, go back and watch it. It's worth it, I promise.
Right. Yeah. So it's great. So we've got the other thing. I've talked about it on Twitter. I've defended the making the army shock immune a few times, but now it's actually my opportunity to say it on RantCast. Tons of stuff is battle shock immune in the game of Age of Sigmar. Anytime someone gets mad about things becoming battle shock immune on Twitter, I just have to wonder if they've played the game. Like, if they physically played the game, or they're one of those people who only, like, gets their mental reps. And nothing wrong with you. We can't all live in a great, like, local meta or with access to local gaming stores. But Daughters of Cain haven't been taking battle shock tests since forever. Gits don't take battle shock tests. Like, Tons of armies don't take Battle Shock. Skaven don't. Like, tons of armies don't take it. And I can understand if your take is that, like, you don't like that things don't take Battle Shock tests. Cool. But this army getting that is just par for the course for the way the game is currently played. You tend not to take Battle Shock tests when it counts. You know, you've got that. Everyone's got the command point in their pocket. So I just wanted to pin that down real quick. And so you get your general allegiance abilities, and then from there, did Manread's book pause on the screen long enough for how they're going to deal with our bone claves? Is it more the city style where you pick it and then you're in, or is it more the Great Phrase style where you must take this trait if you're there? How do they handle that?
Oh yeah, so it's if you take your bone clave, you get the ability, the command ability. Your general gets the command trait, and then the artifact is specifically, you know, some of them is the liege that gets the first artifact gets that one. Some of it's the straight up first artifact. It's written a lot like War Clans is written.
Okay. So a little in line. So some consistency there with War Clans. And then I've got Mortis Praetorians, their ability. They've got the negative bravery, counter charge, which they teased on one of the faction focuses. They get the extra command points. Is it? Yeah, the command trait is D3 extra discipline points, which seems really flavorful for that bone clave, and then they can do a -3 rend on a melee attack. For the artifact, it's fine. You know, it's if you take Katakros, his command ability gives you +1 save, which is pretty good. Yeah. Unfortunately, for that command ability, the next bone clave gives everybody +1 save. So there you go. Right. So do you have do you have to take Katakros in Mortis Praetorians, or can he be in the other ones? So my understanding is no, but he does not gain the other bone clave keywords. So he would be the Mortis Praetorians running with Petrifex, so he would not kick out that +1 to save to anybody but him, because his War Scroll has the Praetorians keyword. And as Greg just popped up, but he can't cast off Bludgeon. He can't, he doesn't get the other abilities. Okay. But it's an incredibly small penalty to pay for an inherent ability. Yeah, for running your coolest model however you feel like it. So a little bit of a keyword bingo thing going on if you play out of your Mortis Praetorians. So Volk Mortarian also has the Mortis Praetorians keyword. Because you're going to see him a ton. You're not going to see him at all. This is, I called it. I called my shot. Most likely to be Lotan was Volk Mortian. And yeah, most likely to be Lotan. He still gives himself +1 save when he uses command ability. And +1 to hit. Yeah. So he's 2 up. Yep. Life is good if you're Bestikros. Yeah, Bestikros. He's just he's super sad that he can't get a 1-up and break the rules of the game or something bonkers. Honestly, he is solid in the Mortis Praetorian Catapult army. See, and here's the thing. Rerolled a wound, pretty sweet. One thing I liked about the way that they've handled the heroes' command abilities, your steroids tend to be steroids for everything. So, when you have a +1 to hit, it says in shooting or combat phase, give +1 to hit. And then, so you can take that same, Liege-Kavalos, for instance, and he buffs your catapults as well as your ground troops. And so you're not, locked into, take exactly the catapult guy, necessarily. Your heroes can be a little bit of switch hitters, except for there is a little bit later on we'll probably maybe talk about the Soulmason. So Volk Mortarian, or Mortian, sorry, sad day. But while we're here, Contract of Nagash, 5 up, you can pick one enemy model within 3 inches of him. Boy, yeah. If you're already in melee combat with a with a wizard. He's fucked. And then he got Mortal Touch. And the only reason I'm really still reading this is his spell is Mortal Touch. He is a double caster. Mortal Touch has a casting value 8. He doesn't have a bonus to cast on his own War Scroll, mind you. Pick one enemy model within 1 inch of the caster. So if you're already fucked and in melee combat, you can roll a die on a 5-up, you slay the model. You cannot modify the spell range. So Umbral Spell Portal is pretty particular about saying you resolve from the other end of it, not that it's changing the range. So you can still, as written, Spell Portal Mortal Touch. I don't know if that's intended, and we're probably going to have to see an FAQ, but right now, if you really want to piss off Dawabos on Twitter, just talk a lot about how you're going to be taking Spell Portal with Vok Mortian. Oh man.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's it's sad, but I knew I was gonna buy him anyway because he looks fucking awesome.
I mean, you get him when you buy that Feast of Bones box, so
Which, yeah.
I mean, who's not getting it?
Right. I kind of jumped ahead of myself there. We were talking allegiance abilities. So we had the Mortis Praetorians, Petrifex Elite. They've got that beautiful, beautiful army-wide +1 save. No ranges. If you're Petrifex, you have it.
Yep. Their command ability is unbelievably good. Once, in the combat phase, you get to add an additional Ren to that weapon file for the rest of the combat phase.
Mm-hmm. On the right model, you're basically for Morghast, for instance, with halberds, they're practically doing mortal wounds now.
Yeah, put it on the Mortek Guard. +1 attack, Ren -1, shield wall. I know that's 3 discipline points, but that's 90 attacks. You can get them to +1 to hit, no problem. That's everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I look at Petrifex and there's what I call easy cheese, which is at a cursory glance, you're like, this is the obvious good thing. That doesn't mean it's the best thing, but it's so obviously the good thing. They have a command trait for +2 wounds on their hero, I guess, right?
Again, you're taking Katakros as your general. It's that's the way that you get discipline points. That's the way that you make yourself reliable. I think the only place where you're really not taking him as your general is if you want to build a horsey boy list and are running in horse lords for some reason. But again, they're still better served in Petrifex. Petrifex on the surface right away feels like Hagnar for OBR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's got durability, it's got offense, it's got everything you want that makes this book really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's really no trade-offs. You're just what you see is kind of what you get here. Yeah, it's great. And then they've got that artifact, the armor pieces negate the first wound. Cool.
Cool. Yeah.
It's fine. It's like having artificially 1 extra life for every one of those interactions. So, Ossiarch Lords, I like these guys because I like battlefield tools and cheekiness. So they're the ones who get the run and charge, which is awesome. If you got Horsey Boys, they have on their banner, they have +1 run and charge, so you're taking double advantage of that in this Bone Clave. You can command ability, retreat, and charge. Now, this is awesome for priority buffering, essentially. Buffering against losing the priority roll. You tag something that you don't want to fight a more important unit in the round leading into right before you're leading into priority. And then you know that if you win priority, you can retreat that thing out, not get stuck in, and go and do what you need to do with it. So this is the kind of command ability I would have loved to have on my Black Knights.
So this it's a good command ability, but I think it loses all of its value because because this really only works on the mounted stuff.
It says in how it's applied is for the does it say actually Kavalos mount or does it say a mount?
I think it says mount again. Don't have the book.
Yeah.
But it immediately loses its value because when you take the battalion, you get this. You get this already.
So you can take that. Can you take the battalion and be Petrifex?
Yeah.
Huh. Bye, Stallion Lords.
So what you lose is you lose the run and charge. So okay, fine. So you spend your discipline points to be +3 move on a 12-inch move unit. Now you can't reroll charge rolls on these because you can't use the generic command abilities. You can only use what's in the book.
There's a big trade-off.
Fine. Right, but you get the retreat and charge for free, and you get to use the Death Wedge once per battle round or once per turn, whatever the wording is. That
without using the command point to do it.
Correct, without using the discipline point.
Yeah.
And Frank on the Rocks, yep, that's an army-wide command ability, +3-inch move. It makes your slow stuff not so slow. But the Stallion Lords, you just take and unless you're planning on running Stalkers to get the run and charge, because their command ability is to reroll run and charge roll. They benefit the most being in Stallion, not the horse boys.
See, that's where my initial thoughts went is I think I said it on one of my messages. I'm like, if I ran Ossiarch Lords, it would be just all the cavalry and all the stalkers. You know, you're grabbing the cavalry just because they are kind of resilient bodies that move fast, and then you're really gonna be running and charging these stalkers. Right, with the +3 inches and yeah. Those guys are kind of can openers too. So it's so the battalions aren't locked into one of the bone claves.
Yeah, to my understanding, no, they're not.
That's awesome, man. Look at the list building versatility. There are trade-offs, right? So yeah, Ossiarch Lords. That's pretty much. I think that's pretty much. Enemy hero has problems. Ivory Host. This is the one that I keep skimming past. Do you want to talk about Ivory Host at all?
Yeah. So they're interesting. You get an ability and a penalty for things that you already get. So if they're wounded, they can fly into a rage. They get +1 hit and -1 save in their command ability. If you're in a rage, you can drop the -1 save part.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could take the Shrieker in literally every other list, or have Katakros in literally every other list, or do any of these other things that give you +1 to hit because of the book, and not suffer a -1 to save. It's it's bad.
So this is the clear loser of the bone claves.
Yeah, I think far and away it's the worst. It's narrative based. There's going to be some cool armies. There's going to play it really cool. But if you're going out with the intention to do harm, you're not waking up and going, all right, let's write some Ivory Host lists.
Yeah, it's
going to be great, especially when you have a bone clave that is literally +1 save.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and you can gain access to +1 hit throughout. Yeah, it's man. Okay, so Null Myriad then is the next one I've got written down. Null Myriad I think is going to be a meta pick, because like you said, +1 save it goes having problems with things that have spells that help them hit harder. Turns out having +1 save against that is also pretty good too, right? But this I think very specifically. What I've been calling the flamethrower battle mage in Cities of Sigmar.
Hallowheart.
Yeah, in Hallowheart, where you take Chain Lightning, you take the other one that's kind of like Chain Lightning, you toss them on top of a Balewind Vortex, and then you just three flamethrower spells a turn, pew 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 lasers, right? This is where Null Myriad is gonna, if that unfurls the way we see it, Tzeentch is around. This is gonna be a meta pick at your if your LGS just has a lot of that type of army.
Well, and if Hellheart just pops up as a presence over the next couple of weeks and months, you sit there and say, exactly, Brad.
Yes.
You sit there and say, cool, great, awesome. I'll take the No Myriad. So you get that 5-up, ignore the spell effect, and for a discipline point, you can be a 2-up, ignore the spell effect.
Just huge.
Right. It's one of those things where, okay, cool, you spent 1,500 points on this gimmick. Dope. I'm going to spend a meta thing that does not cost me anything to play all the way up on you in points. And you're going to lose this game.
Yeah,
because your offensive thing does nothing.
Yeah, doesn't work on a 2-up. Like, Rat Trap, what? Rat Trap, what? Like, you're still just like, nah. Like, it's the Thought Begone list. It puts up the hand and just like Thought Begone and just pushes the spell out of the way and like keeps moseying. But yeah, this is a meta pick. The density of these quote unquote problem magic armies need to show up for this to become an enticing pick. And I would run it because it does have useful abilities.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad. It becomes excellent in specific cases in the same way that Drakfoot is good in very specific cases. And having that situational play out of the... I just said that, Brad. You play out of the hip pocket. It's like, that threat exists, and if that nuclear option occurs, you go, cool, we're pressing the red button and we're gonna ruin their weekend.
See, that's funny too. Or if you're like a Khorne player who just hates spells, you've got a little bit of your soul represented in this army. You can just like I just hate spells. Spell phase is my least favorite phase in all of Age of Sigmar. Here you go. You've got a Bone Clave for you.
There you go.
And their paint scheme's pretty cool. They also got the Mortal-est wounds weapon.
That's actually what I wrote in my notes. Is Mortal-est wounds.
So it does the Mortal-est wounds. You do not roll saves, so it doesn't even it's not about rent. Like you do not roll saves, and you can't shrug it.
Yeah.
The where this falls down though is. Pretty much we got Liege-Kavalos and the Scytheman can wield it, and those are...
That's fine.
They're just fine. Yeah, there's no like just super beefed up, tons of attacks, tons of damage, monstrosity to throw this on in this army.
And then that brings us to our last bone.
The Bone Clave. This is the one that got all the buzz early, because it's the best one in quotation marks.
It's interesting. The more time I spend with this, the more this Bone Clave makes sense.
Yes.
It's not the obvious choice, and I don't think it's the best choice, but if you build a specific style to it, and that style feels more defensive.
More like Boom Clave, am I right?
Yeah. So in a case like this, you're taking 80 Mortek Guard, you're taking 2 Gothizzar Harvesters, and you're hanging out there in that line. You're taking that slow, Nagash and them boys advance, and you just shovel models in, do damage out, put guys back on the table, keep taking damage, ignoring battle shock, and you just cycle through this series of actions and reactions.
If your favorite thing about playing Legion of Nagash was daisy chaining out your regenning skeletons and stuff,
what?
I'm not talking about anyone specific here. if that was your favorite way to, like, your favorite part about Legion of Nagash, you're gonna love, like, boy, do I have a boom clave for you. Because now all your regenning, daisy-chaining skeletons are exploding like freaking Corpse Explosion in Diablo, and it's awesome. So I kind of hated this one early just as a reactionary voice of dissent thing, because I looked at it and I'm like, it's fine, but it's not the, like, this is the obvious best, this is the best thing, it's going to break the meta thing. And that was kind of how I was getting billed a little early, and I'm like, no. And so I had to be, like, really angry to compensate initially. But the more I look at it, I think that this is going to be a really fun way to play the army.
It'll be different. You're going to see a lot of Petrifex. I think you're going to see a couple Praetorians. You're going to see a couple of the Fireboys. And if you're used to playing Petrifex, it's going to be a big adjustment to play Fireboys. It's like playing Plague Monks for the first time, where you're like, not super keen on how that works.
You mean like the person playing against it? They're gonna, like, they're so used to trading with OBR, and then you play against this sort of wacky side, like, different list. But they're gonna have to. I mean, that's the thing, is their explosions within that model within 3 inches. Mm-hmm. So, like, you're gonna have to, if you play against these splody boys. If you just go, I'm gonna line up across the middle, charge forward, you're gonna have a bad time. Like, like, you're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have to become mindful of those 3 inches. You're gonna have to tag the sides of the big blocks of units. You're gonna have to tear down their harvesters, because that's the engine that's making the splode work.
Right. And I picture it as the harvester in the middle of, like, 40 blocks, and you're just.
Yeah, how they used to sell the or how they when the Scoot Man came out, Mr. Scoot, the bringy thingy,
yes.
They sold the little template with, you could put it in then, like, your 30 bodies or whatever around it precisely. I think you're gonna see a 3D printer that you're gonna have people printing the tray for Gothizzar Harvester and then Mortek Guard wrapped around it, and you're just gonna be pushing that forward.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, this thing loses. The immolation, which is the big thing that the Crematorians have, that 3 inch, when the models, it dies on a 5-up, it explodes. If it's a hero or a monster, it explodes on a 4-up, but that's, who gives a crap.
Right.
Like, it says to a melee weapon or to a melee attack. So specifically, if you're shooting these things, you're shooting into them. They're not the unkillable Tithe of Petrifex Elite. If you're shooting into them, if you're mowing them down with spells, impact hits, I believe, would also thin them out too. So you're gonna, it's telling you how to counterplay it when you're reading the rules, if you're paying attention. So
yeah, it's it's really cool. It's different. There is mechanics in there that make it sustainable and really kind of a pain in the butt. But
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see the first time somebody puts that out at an event, and hopefully it's like one of those, like, 60 people event. There's like 5 Bonereaper players, and one of them's got the Crematorians, and just all weekend you hear just these weird stories from the other side of the room where they're like, yeah, he had 80 Mortek Guard, and I kept killing him, and he kept getting them back, and my shit kept dying.
I mean, did you ever want to be rewarded for using Deathly Invocation in your Legion of the Nagash army? Yes, no, yes, you might want to play this army. Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be cool. I don't see the sky is falling moment for this army, though. I could be wrong. Maybe, like, we get it on the table, we take it out and about, and you're just like, holy crap, this is, like, awesome. But
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
I don't think it usurps Petrifex in terms of what it does. Being +1 to save army-wide, and then also having any given unit an additional rend.
Yeah.
Army-wide, with the exception of anything that has the Mortis Praetorian keyword to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, Katakros.
Right.
That is that's a swing in both directions. Like that is a 2-for-1 in terms of like quality of unit. Yes, you're paying 200 points for those 3 stalkers, but now they're a 3-up save, and you can kick out that Rev -1 on top of whatever their rerolls are.
Right.
That is way better than being a 4-up save with any of this other stuff.
It's true. And I mean, you're paying. Yeah, it's true. I mean, this is. I mean, Petrifex Elite just looks to me to be the. You said it best earlier. This is the Hagnar. You know, it's just. Some other stuff is cute, cool, good even, but it's just it's so hard to. It's very good. Yeah.
Right. You've got your Calebron, you've got your Drycheek and Ethan, things that work, and you know they'll be fine. People win some games with them, and
well, and here's the one thing. I talk about sometimes like rules telling you how to play the thing. Rules telling you how to play against it is what I just mentioned for Immolation. The Petrifex Elite rules, you're the beatdown in that set. Like you're the beatdown. Age of Sigmar, it tends to be in more situations than not, imposing your will on the table is very important. And so having more of a passive style army is playing a little bit counter in many times to a lot of these battle plans that want you to be the beatdown, that want you to be the aggressor. So
and definitely my first impressions with some of these lists is there is some really excellent opportunities to be the aggressor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why Slaanesh great apart from all the reasons people are mad about, because they are rewarded for being the aggressor army, and then they have parachutes when they're not.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I remember.
You remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. All right, so I mean that's the Bone Claves, right? Clear winner, clear loser, and a bunch of stuff in between. But all of them are going to reward the hobbyists. That Crematorians paint scheme is banging. It's awesome. The Null Myriad's pretty cool too, until somebody ruined it by showing me a can of Monster, and then it was ruined forever.
I'm sorry.
And Katakros, he deserves to be painted the way like a marble, like the statue, you know, David. Like he deserves to be painted like this pristine, amazing.
Yeah, I have a good friend of mine who has a standing offer to, you know, everybody in the hobby that he becomes good friends with is he will happily paint one model for you, and he's a great painter, and so that is no small there's no small offer from him. And for a long time I've been like, oh, he's gonna paint one of my Eidolons, it's gonna be beautiful. I don't know how I don't let him paint Katakros. Like it's
Yeah, I don't know about, like, I've never commissioned an army, but I know that my ability... I've even been thinking about buying a second Nagash at this point, you know, because I saw...
Don't listen to him.
I saw, what is it, the gentleman shared his name.
Bleep Bloop, yep.
Bleep Bloop. I saw that Nagash, and immediately it's like, you know, if like you're holding a popsicle and then like you look across and somebody's just eating a bigger popsicle and like then your popsicle just melts reactionarily. That is exactly what happened. I'm just like, ooh, like, but yeah, Katakros is one of those, you know, skeletons, they're cool, but there's a bunch, you know, you get lost in the sea of some of these other models. But Katakros is a freaking diorama in the army.
So I will put this out here on the chat. I would love to see from any of you super hobbyists as he gets wounded, like you can pull like the little guys off. Yeah, that's cool. And I think we're gonna see that a lot. 400 Quatlus to whoever is the first to build Combat Katakros.
By Combat Katakros, do you mean like he's actively interested in fighting you?
Yes, shield on his arm, like halberd lance in hand, stepping down the stairs, ready to punch a dude.
Oh, so what if they buy a second Katakros? So like they have him in board mode initially, and the magnet you pull off the other ones, and then when the other ones all die, they actually pull off Katakros and put combat Katakros on the base.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Like, oh man, obviously I got to see the kit first to see even like how you could break up the model to do it. But how cool would that be?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing people's iteration of this army on the table, which is kind of weird. With Nighthaunt was the last release we kind of got, and I didn't care about your spooky boys. That's not to say that I don't care about you specifically, Human, who have some great models that you've shown me on Twitter. I mean, in general, like it's the kind of like the burden of proof is on you to get me to care in that situation. Like, I don't, because it's ghosts. I don't care. But that's a me thing. It's not a you thing. With this, I am actively interested to see everybody's take on their bone clave and on their fluff and stuff like that. Yeah, go ahead. Post your Slanesh Instagram. Go for it, Soren. Shameless self-promote away, dude. So yeah, we got through Allegiance. We meandered past a War Scroll or two. Let's talk about the Nexus. I'm going to share a photo you shared with me earlier today. So there's a literal fucking Titan in the case with this, and it's bigger than the Titan. Like, this thing is massive. Can you describe with words how like it's huge, and basically the Bone Tithe Nexus, they've given you a diorama in your army again. So you are the double diorama army between Katakros and the Bone Tithe Nexus. You can't hear you, Brendan. Your audio's cut out, man. And you place it before terrain. So I was while he fixes his audio here, I was actually having a conversation about how I think that this is more of a trend in how they want you to place terrain than I think this is more of a trend in how they want you to place terrain, because they've had some issues with not being able to place your army terrain on tables and stuff. I think this is language we're gonna see on other terrain pieces going forward, because not within 6 inches of objectives, not within 3 of other terrain pieces, so on and so forth. Like, I think their intent is for you to be able to get it down, and I think that's just where they're going in general with it. Oh boy. So you could, if you need to, Brendan, you can drop call and come back in. That might do it. Where was I? I'm pulling up the War Scroll real quick on the Bone Tithe Nexus.
Hey.
Yep, there you are. Yep. Welcome back.
Oh, great. Awesome. Had me worried. So I think we were talking about the placement for it. It's placed before all other terrain.
Yes. So, and what I was saying is that I think that this is I don't think that this is necessarily exclusive to the Bone Tithe Nexus. I think this is the language the game wants to move towards because of some of the issues we've had with army terrain being placed and stuff. Or maybe it is Katakros' Bestakros, and he's such a strategic genius, he already had the monument up on the battlefield before he got there.
Yeah, and I think the way you'd handle it in tournaments is the table's set up, and you would just displace all of the terrain wherever it is that you'd like to put it.
Mm-hmm. Is it on your side exclusively, or is it anywhere on the table?
I would have to go back and look. If memory served me, you could place it anywhere.
Okay. See, that's huge. That's a real big deal. This is a little bit of like boats, kind of again, where boats. The best thing about boats, yeah. The best thing about boats is boats, right? Like the physical boat itself, and what you can do to the table with the boat. It might as well have a blank war scroll. A little bit of that, but it's reflected in the rules, because the deadly gaze, these debuffs on the scenery rules are they're not 100%. But they're good effects. So real quick, Deathly Gaze is its rule. In your hero phase, you can choose for this terrain feature to unleash one of the following punishments. Punishment of Agony. Pick one enemy unit wholly within 18 of this terrain feature that and visible to it. Roll a die. On a 4-up, subtract 1 to hit rolls by that unit. So that wholly within 18, your opponent can play around. But with your ability to place this before terrain and wherever you feel like, you can start out the game nerfing someone's best stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can do that out the gate. Yeah. And
the place where you're going to want to put it probably is middle of the table, almost always. Mm-hmm. Maybe not necessarily dead center, but you could be saying, set it over here near these objectives. Cool.
It's got to be kind of far from objectives, but
3.
I had it flipped. I had a little bit of reading the chat backwards there for a moment. 3 objectives. You're still going to be able to project whatever debuff you want onto that objective.
Yeah.
So you can place this right next to the objective where you know the battle's going to be. But yeah. Oh man, that's good. This is an aggressive piece of terrain. In design, it is imposing. It gets placed on the table where it feels like, and then it projects its debuffs. The next one. Do you want to talk about these, Brendan? You've got a.
Yeah, Punishment of Ignorance. Enemy wizard within 36, and visible on a 2-up. Subtract 1 from casting, dispelling, and unbinding.
I love that.
That's pretty good. That's got good value to it. I don't love the Punishment of Death very much. I like the Punishment of Agony, and the last one is pretty good. This is another wholly within 18 inches on a 4-up. It cannot run, and a D6 is used for charge rolls instead of 2D6. It's about control. So, it's so, like...
See, so there's a lot of spells that do what Punishment of Lethargy is doing. But the problem with those spells is they're 18-inch spells. If you've moved up to within 18 to cast that spell, you're not getting the most value out of it. You know? If you place a piece of terrain that says, first off, you say, if you deployed there, I'm going to tag you with this. So you get to begin the deployment chess when you put this piece of terrain down. In something like Duality of Death, where you've got 2 boxes, you can just be like, fuck that one right there. You could just, it's
screw you and the horse you came in on.
yeah, like just that one deployment box there, fuck that.
And you don't have to put it to either side of it. You can just put it next to it, and the purpose is served.
Yeah, it's huge. Ignorance has its place. If you're playing the right army, I think that's pretty good. I mean, Death, just do a mortal wound on a 2-up, fine. And yeah, so those are it. But I think the Lethargy, I played around a lot with Spectral Grasp in Legions of Nagash, pick a terrain feature. That halves the thing's movement. I really liked that spell. So I'm kind of a fan of stuff that does that in a safe way for you, because you don't want to stick your neck out to nerf someone's movement.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Meth Heads. How's it going? This could be... and then you have a second diorama here. So those are the things that make Ossiarch Bonereapers in terms of, like, a design. So next up is just kind of, what's the units? So that's all the, the engine, that's all the the spells, that's everything there. Like, what's the... what are the dudes that are going to be winning you the games now, right? For this, I'm going to go to... So we got Mortek Guard. 4-inch movement, skeletons, but remember, you can make them 7-inch move.
Yep.
So awesome. They've got their Nandrite weapons. They come in either the blade or the spear, and one of them, was it
1 in 10?
1 in 10 can have the greatsword. So that's pretty cool. I'm not used to this, having like multiple weapon profiles inside of my armies. Usually I like my undead uniform. And without identities. But here we go. So pretty much for the combat profiles, 2 attacks base. Cool.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get on 6s to hit, it explodes into 2 hits, and Liege-Kavalos, anything with the Liege keyword has the +1 attack to it. So they can be 3 attacks pretty reasonably. They're +1 to run and charge if you've got banner bearers, and their command ability is not one to be overlooked. The shield wall, re-roll save rolls. And so this circles back to what we were just talking about with Bone Claves. If they're 3-up re-rolling, even against the biggest damage weapon on Slaanesh, they're a 5-up re-rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm fighting last, but good luck doing damage to me.
Mm-hmm.
No, unless you hit those 6s and then... Alright, cool.
Right.
But there's a spell for that, so...
And you can get... So they'll have their 6-up, and you can give them the 5-up as well if you're really, like, trying to stick somebody in. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're just, like... You can really make a super grinder. Then there are 3s and 4s to hit on the spears and blades, respectively. The trade-off between the spears versus the blades. The blades have 1 rend. -1 rend. The spears have 2-inch reach. So
yeah.
We know these are on 25s now, right? So 3 ranks versus 2 ranks.
And I think you're taking them with spears. It's it seems like a no-brainer from me. Now I for a long time been a proponent of the blade versions.
Yeah.
With the regular skeletons, but this is just that's a case of the physical number of models being the benefit. Here, the number of models doesn't do anything, and Greg is right. Petrifex turns those spears to Rend 1 anyways. Now, Rend 2 swords on base dudes is a pretty disgusting prospect. So, like, your 10-mans, I think you're still giving swords, but anything past 10, you give the spears, and you say, let's do this.
Right. Man, I was going to expect for you to give me your Brendanism that you run blades and you play with discipline, which is what you told me of the old
What benefit do you get? Like there is no like.
Yeah, I mean the whole extra rank of guys hitting in this case versus the map on the one, right? If
you run the 40 brick, you just put your guys with the Soul Cleaver Great Blades in front, and then the other 36 spears behind them.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I've been laughing silently to myself for a while now, because one thing I loved about Death is I quit caring about where the position of any single of my command squad was within a unit, because
now it matters.
Now it matters. So I'm gonna have I've added a step to the skill floor on this army for myself, because I'm gonna have to relearn caring about that crap again. And I haven't had to care about it for like a year and a half. So now I have to like relearn that crap. Even with Bestigors and stuff, I really tend not to care.
Yeah, because the +1 attack doesn't really do anything for you.
Yeah.
But here,
yeah,
it's a better profile with all the different abilities you have. You're at 2-up, 3-up on that Great Blade. You can give the Great Blade to the Hekatos. So that's 3 attacks. You take the Leaves, that's 4 attacks. You've got the Petrifex ability. Now it's Rend -2. All of these different things occur. Now you're not probably gonna use all of these abilities every time you use every unit, but you have to remember where the baseline and the ceiling is on all of this. That's the important thing to remember, and you're not relying on something like spells that is inherently variance based. This is just something that occurs because your unit has a mini hero in it.
Yeah, and you're making the choice, right? Like it's really cool. Like, all your cards are on the table with this army, you know, at all times. Like, there's no, apart from the base dice rolls, you're not really gambling with your sauce, with the stuff that makes it really good. You're just choosing when to use it, when to turn it on. And the ceiling is the roof, if you care about basketball memes, with these guys. So, so that's Mortek Guard. I kind of want their battle line. What's their points cost? What did that come back on?
They're 130 for 10, 440 for 40.
130 for 10. You know, that's actually about where I expected them to be priced at. I mean, best scores are 120. That's, yeah, cool. I'd pay for that.
They're a pretty good unit.
Yeah.
10 men on their own will hang.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't have the problems of other death armies, which is you don't need to put the stuff with them to project power with that unit. A 10-man skirmishing unit can just go out and throw its weight around fully. So, Mortek Guard, the battle line had to be good for this elite army, you know?
It'll be really interesting to see if Mortek Guard make it over into legions the same way Chain Rafts did, because they do have a command ability.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it says command ability on there, like, so it would theoretically work. You spend a command point to have them do their thing, right? Yeah. You hope they don't.
I think they lose a lot by moving over into legions.
I think they lose enough. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have summonable, but they are just this really tank of a unit. And you could take something like a Vampire Lord and give them that +1 attack.
Yeah, cool.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to see how that all works out.
I could see them doing the asterisk thing. And now, so yeah, next I brought up Stalkers. 6-inch move, 4 wounds apiece. They come in a block of 3. For how many points?
200.
200?
Their unit size 3 to 6. So you can't run a huge unit of them, but the Immortis Guard can actually be 3 to 12.
Okay. And they're a dual build box with the...
Correct.
So the Stalkers, they've got Dread Falchions with the 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, Rend 2, damage 2. Or they're 5 attacks with their Spirit Blades, 3s and 3s, Rend 1, damage 1. And this is me going against my script. Is I love halberds on Morghasts. With Stalkers, I want the 5 profile, 5 at 3s and 3s.
And that's fine, because only 1 and 3 can have the Falchions.
Yeah.
Falchion.
The Falchion. Captain Falchion. We've already talked about the Quadrarch aspects. Is there anything you want to say about that? No?
It's really good.
It's really good. This one's not burning through your relentless discipline points.
No.
It's just an ability they do. So like they get to do that.
Right. They get their sweet +1 to hit from something. So there's 3x3 on the Falcon, 2x3 on the Spirit Blades. Maybe you take the reroll to wound rolls, but you're taking the precision aspect, the increase the rend, increase the damage. The base guy becomes rend 2, damage 2. If you really want a can opener that guy, you take in Petrifex, you take the command ability, the rend 3, damage 2 on just the regular blade. You rend 4, damage 3 on the Falchion.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, these guys are fucking can openers. The ability that they got, their command ability, hunt and kill. I wish it were models instead of terrain. But basically, when they charge, they're treated as you can reroll run and charge rolls for that unit until your next hero phase. In addition, until your next hero phase, when the unit makes a move, it can pass across terrain features in the same manner as if it had flying. So,
looks like you've got a visitor there, buddy.
Yeah, Lily is streaking, and now both the dogs are here. Awesome.
Hey, Corgi Cam.
So how much? So these are 200 points. How many of them are you running? Is the real question. 12 minimum. Every list starts with 12.
No, I don't think that's the case. I think it's one of the things where you're taking them and you're building around them. I don't think that you just like write the list and have them join in. They have to serve a very specific purpose, because even 6 is 400 points. That's a fifth of your army.
Mm.
That is a huge commitment to a unit that might not have a job.
Yeah. And then, so on the flip side of it, the Immortalis Guard. You got their war scroll?
Yeah, pulling it up. So, 5-inch move, 3-up save base, Petrifex, 2-up save. 4 wounds for every 10. They've got halberds, 2 attacks, 3s/3s, rend 2, damage 2, and their battle shields are 2 attacks, 4s/3s, no rend, damage 1. Hit rolls of 6 with the battle shield, inflict 1 mortal wound in addition to any damage. The thing that makes them really good is their soulbound protectors. This is the thing that's going to make Katakros entirely unkillable. Right? Roll a dice before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Ossiarch Bonereapers hero while it is within 3 inches of a friendly unit with this ability. On a 2-up, you must allocate that wound or mortal wound to a friendly unit with this ability that is within 3 inches of that Ossiarch Bonereaper hero, instead of allocating to that Ossiarch Bonereapers unit. So, it's a 2-up save. You've got a spell that gives them a 5-up shrug, and then a 6-up death save. For 200 points, right?
These guys are the winners over Stalkers. I think every list runs these because they have a role. Their role is clear. They protect the queen, and they kind of slap some shit. Actually, like I don't know that Necropolis Stalkers are so.
I think Stalkers are way more offensively minded.
Right.
These guys are only 4 attacks a model, 2 of which are worth anything. But you take them so that they defend Katakros, that they defend Arkhan. You're taking them so that your opponent cannot get through those models.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They roll. The power of role playing is an oft overlooked aspect of list building. I think for like the sort of like initiate into Age of Sigmar. So it's worth noting that why did I run Black Knights? Were they the best thing? No, they had a role that they played.
Right.
As essentially shock troopers, they would set the line of attack so that the rest of my skeletons could catch up, and now we have a real scrap. Or I just missile them out and resurrect them, and missile them out and resurrect them. So you got to think about how you're going to use the unit, and Immortalis Guard, pretty good use. Boy, that's it for all the war scrolls I had easily accessible without Gothizzar Harvester. Let's talk about this fatty. I was worried that he would have a turtle-esque war scroll. He does not. He is merciful.
He's pretty all right.
Yeah, he's pretty all right. What's his point cost?
He is 200 points.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been fucking 400. Just absolutely the wrong cost.
Yeah, the fears with something is this ends up as one of those dartboard units, right? Because sometimes, right, wrong, or indifferent, sometimes you do get one of those scrolls, and the points with it, you go, I fail to understand. And thankfully, I feel like we've been seeing that less and less. And
they've gotten better. They've really gotten better at writing war scrolls in this game. Every now and then you get one, you're like, huh? Was this just like left on the drafting board from a previous iteration or something? But he's got the 6-inch move, 4-up save, can be 3-up, 10 wounds, 10 wounds for 200 points. Yeah, 10 wounds for a 4-up and a shrug. That's not bad. He's not an unkillable machine, and if you are running that immolation build, you target this, and it's not unkillable and nigh invincible. This is what you fight. You try to kill this. And it's a goal that you can accomplish. 4 attacks with his head, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. Then you can either choose.
Yeah, it's a fine shooting attack. It's okay.
Yeah, it's range charts. It starts out 16.
Down to 4.
Man, it's so weird that it's a missile attack in death. What is going on here?
Totally unfamiliar.
This War Scroll might as well be written in Greek under where it says missile. And then for its kit, its loadout, it's always got its ossified hooves and tail. 4 attacks, 3s and 2s, charts all the way down to 6. Rend 1, damage 2. I mean, that's pretty classic, like dragon, like claws, stomps, etc.
Normal. And then its hand weapons are 6 attacks down to 2, 3s, rend 2, damage 2. The difference is in the ability. The bludgeons, 6s to hit, do 2 mortal wounds in the sequence ends, and the sickles add 1 to hit rolls if the target unit has 5 or more models. Again, you have +1 to hit everywhere in this army, so...
Yeah, the bludgeons also look cooler, by the way, for my money. I think they just, look cooler.
That's, your opinion, man.
And then you've got the Bone Harvest thing, which is why you're taking this unit.
Yeah, it's a very complicated rule, and I'm not going to sit here and read it, but basically when something dies on a 4-up, it triggers an ability to bring guys back.
Yeah, and we didn't get a real summoning in this army. We have some regen, very deathy, but we don't have a summoning.
Right, because that was everyone's fear, is that Gothizzar Harvesters were just going to set up whole new units.
Right.
And it's not. And you can't bring units over their size. It states explicitly slain models.
Mm-hmm.
It's reasonable. How dare they?
Yeah. It's fine, and the price is right actually for the price is right at 200. It's really decently costed. Let's talk about the Mortek Crawler. This is your other thing. Everybody was really
wow. This is gonna be interesting. It's 200 points. It's a catapult. It's a shooting attack, right? So 4-up save, 12 wounds. And its base attack is range 6 to 36, 3 attacks, 2s, no rend. Damage starts at 5, down to 1. Awesome. You take the Liege ability, +1 attack. Now it's 4 attacks. You don't need the plus to hit. But this is where Brad was saying that the named character, with his command ability, the rerolling wound rolls of 1, that's where this comes into play. You make that more reliable. 4 attacks, 2s, no rend, damage 5. So you're telling me it's just a ranged bad keeper? Sign me up. Sounds great.
Yeah, and you're gonna at low save hordes and stuff. You're just gonna mow them down. With that, and you can roll the dice against a hero because every time they do roll that, 1 to save or whatever, it's fucking 5 wounds. So you'll be able to protect them. It's kind of a nightmare of rules language for the other 2 kits you can do on them, the Cauldron of Torment or the Cursed Steel. Now,
I'm interested to see how this works, because it states attacks profile. If you give the Liege +1 attack, do I get to make 2 Cauldron of Torment attacks and 2 Cursed Steel attacks?
Right. I mean, as written, I would assume, because it says it has an attacks profile and says 1, but then you go down here where it says do not use the attack sequence.
Right.
For attacks made. So maybe you don't get the bonus because you're not using a traditional attack sequence. You just go and roll an ability out. So I don't think you do this twice. Would be my. I think that's how I would interpret it. But we're gonna have to. It's gonna have to have an FAQ because I think you can make a reasonable case for either. Right.
Yeah. Here, let's go, Brad. Brad, answer the question for me.
I think he's rating by now. Yeah.
So.
I think
you're really good. These are really good abilities.
So do you get all 3 of these, or do you have to kit them differently?
No, so before you shoot, you have to decide what it is that you're using, and you can only make one of the attacks per battle of the each.
Okay, so and this isn't one of those good ways of doing Elite. You actually give you all the tools, and then you make the decision on that.
Yes.
So here you go. Cauldron of Torment, kind of a piles of text you want to summarize?
Yeah, so Cauldron of Torments is you pick an enemy unit within range. Doesn't have to be wholly within range, just within range. It's still 6 to 36. And what you do is you roll a dice for each model in the unit. And for every dice roll equal to or greater than the unmodified bravery characteristic of that unit, a model dies. Now, as it gets hurt, you suffer a penalty to the dice roll, but a model dies. Brutes are 3 wounds. Bravery 6, a model dies.
Yeah, that's funny.
And so then you're like, okay, well, Horde Buster, awesome. The next one is the Hero Buster. You roll it, ignore the attack sequence, pick one enemy model that is in range of the attack profile. Minimum 6, maximum 36, and roll 2d6 and add the modifier on the table. At full health, you're -3, 3 to 4, you're -1, 5 to 7 is 0, 8 to 9 is +1, 10 plus is +3. So specifically, as the catapult gets hurt, it gets better at this attack profile.
Mm-hmm.
If that 2d6 roll that you made with the modifier is equal to or greater than the wounds characteristic of the target, it dies.
So here's your hero sniper. And by the way, fuck your depravity. Like, suck it, mask.
Dead. Gone.
So it did. So I joked that I just wanted it to shoot purple suns. It kind of does.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about slaying models and stuff. Throw the pendulum at it at turn 1.
Yeah. So let's see. So when do you trigger the healing? Because this would be stupid. At the start of the hero phase is when you heal. So thankfully you can't do damage, make your attacks,
and then heal. Yeah, you gotta wait till that next turn. But still, I mean, 36 inches, you're gonna be able to protect these relatively well, I would think.
Yeah, and the battalion for them is Mortek Guard that are nearby, and you can pass off. You can pass off the saves to the Mortek Guard. They get the Immortis Lookout Sirs, but 4 catapults.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
That's freaking awesome.
Right.
Do you think we're going to see catapults? Do you think we're...
Heck yeah, we're going to see catapults.
I mean, they're the cool model, so people are going to run them, but, like, I haven't seen turtles, you know, so...
Mm-hmm. Well, they're also only 200 points. Like, if people are running ballistas, you're going to see people taking catapults.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think it's just the nature of the game.
Yeah.
All right.
And then some Mortisan Soulmason, because this is the one that they promised me would buff the catapult.
And it does. And it does with the Soul Guide, which is its spell. You pick a friendly unit wholly within 24 inches of the caster. You reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by that unit until your next hero phase, which is great. Mm-hmm. And his chair can let you cast it more and more times, which is awesome and dumb.
So he can go out and buff every catapult.
Basically. Every catapult. Yep.
Yeah.
And you wombo combo him with Arch-Kavalos Zandtos, whose command ability is Still Their Breath. In the shooting phase, pick a friendly Mortis Praetorians unit, so you do have to run Mortis Praetorians. Oh darn. Only an excellent choice. Only a very good choice as opposed to an excellent one.
Right.
And you reroll wound rolls of 1 versus Order Destruction, and you reroll all wounds against Chaos units.
Because fuck Chaos.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
See, this is great. Man. It does mean that the mirror matches are going to be very interesting.
And... Oh, they're going to be brutal.
It's going to be a real, like, grinder. You're just you're just trading blows, right, and making decisions on the table. There's no extra synergies and extra steroid. You're just fighting each other kind of straight up.
Oh well.
Yeah. And so the Soulmason being the only model I don't like in the entire range, and for one specific reason, ended up being perhaps one of the best ones to come out of it. He's a double caster. How many points is he?
He is 140.
Okay. About
very affordable.
I think about what you'd expect. You know, necromancers are what, 130? Yeah. So you got this guy for 140. Is a double caster for 140 who gets to chain gun a spell.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. like he's just gonna camp and help buff your catapults, and they're gonna tee off.
Yeah, they're good. It's like,
yeah.
I have no other way to say it at this point. He's useful. You use him with catapults, he's useful.
He says you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made with that unit. It doesn't specifically state it has to be like a catapult or anything. So his buff works on whatever Katakros.
Oh yeah, yes. I like this. This is a character that I think people are going to really try and find to fit in their list, and I don't think he's worth taking if it comes at a penalty of just like the general effectiveness of your army. But if your list naturally includes it, and with all the things that can beat 2 up rerolling 1s, you'd be in good shape.
Mortisan Soulreaper. This guy is really fucking cool looking.
So cool looking. I hate that he's so lame.
Yeah, I mean they ended up doing what I hoped they wouldn't do, which is make a hybrid, and so he's like this weird melee spellcaster hybrid.
I just don't think he really does anything.
Yeah, so he's I don't know, probably around 140 points, I'd imagine.
He's 120.
Okay, all right, a discount hero, I guess. 5-inch move, 4-up save, 5 wounds. He's a 5-wound foot slogger. 3s and 3 attacks with his scythe. 3s and 3s rend 1 damage too. He has Deathly Touch. If an unmodified hit roll with his attack is a 6, it inflicts 2 mortals. End the sequence. So, you know, every 2 combats, he might do 2 mortals with this ability. Like, Soul Reaper,
yeah,
you can
cool.
You can reroll his hit rolls made with Soul Reaper Scythe if the target has 5 or more models. So you want to go horde hunting with 3 attacks on a model? Like, a little bit of a disconnect from what he could be and what he should be doing. His spell is Soul Blast. Has a casting value 7. He has no bonuses to cast. He's a single caster. If successfully cast, you can either roll 1 dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of the caster, or roll 1 die for 1 enemy unit within 18 of the caster. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2, it suffers ab mortal wound. On a 4-up, it's D3 mortal wounds. Just...
Nah, I mean, like, I'm buying him because the model's cool.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, poor guy. Same, buying because the model's cool. Mortisan Boneshaper, also really cool model.
At least he is useful, right? So he's 130 points. He has the Boneshaper ability, which is a friendly unit within 6, and Ossiarch Bonereaper units within 6. You can heal up to 3 wounds in the same way that like this other stuff is. Like, he's an excellent support piece in that sense. And his spell is okay. Right? It casts on a 5, roll a dice for each model within 18 inches from that unit, and for each 6 it suffers a mortal wound.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually not bad. 18 inches, that's a pretty classic Horde Breaker type spell.
And he's up there with your stuff anyways. So him being within 18 inches isn't this unreasonable thing to occur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, he's got to be up there. He's going to get a lore spell, I'd imagine. Yeah, not bad. I think you can make a case for running him, and he looks cool. And now, like, the real money heroes, Liege-Kavalos, who is...
Well, hold on. Before we get into the last of these heroes, we skipped your favorite unit.
No. I was saving them for last.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. Yeah, all right. That works for me then. Like, we're sitting here and we're doing this, and I'm like, what's he doing? Like, this is the.
I didn't talk about the both battle line first, no, because I was gonna make a big production of like, and now the best unit in the entire army that isn't named Orpheon Katakros.
I got you. Yep, I'm up with you.
All right. Yeah. So Liege-Kavalos and Arch-Kavalos Zandtos, what they're 220 and 200 respectively.
Yep, 200 for the Kavalos, 220 for Zandtos.
Honestly, Zandtos I'm a little underwhelmed with, because his story was that he got this dark lance gifted to him specifically from Nagash, and he was an assassin in life, and he just goes around with this scorn hunting the living now. I thought he was going to slap more shit than what he does.
Look, this is just, like, clearly a regift situation. Nagash had it sitting around, like, in his closet. Katakros is like, hey, it's my boy's birthday. You know, can you get him something? It would mean a lot. And Nagash is like, let me think. He's like, oh, I've got that cursed artifact in the closet. Hold on.
Like, Nagash is invited to the birthday party. Like, he's like, oh, man, I don't want to show up without a gift. It's bad form. I'm the Supreme Lord of the Dead. I can't be the Supreme Lord of no gifting.
Right. Well, the social implications are unbearable.
Yeah, so he shows up with this, Dark Lance, so he's 220, 12-inch move, he's gonna keep up with your cavalry units, 3-up save natively, though, so he gets all the way down to that sweet 2-up, 7 wounds, so, you know, he's got a little bit of a sizable ass to him, he can have 2 extra wounds in one of the legions too, or in one of the bone claves. And then his lance is 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 2. This is couldn't give me like 5 and like I just wanted him to have a lot of attacks to really take advantage of some of the artifacts, because this is really the only guy you can kit up with any art, or no, you can't even kit him up with artifacts. So, and then he's got his battle shield. Which I like that this army is actually like hitting you with their shields and stuff. I think that's really fucking cool.
You mean they're being smart?
Yeah. So he hits you with the shield, 3s and 4s, damage 1, whatever. It's 1 more attack. And then 6 hooves. He's got a good horse, though.
He's got a murder pony. That's what he's got.
Yeah, 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. Like, this fucking horse is better than him. Almost. It's just like it must have been built out of, like, Wolverine bones only, you know? Like badger bones or something only. And then you wanted to go take me through the abilities here?
Yeah, so he's got Unstoppable Charge. So you pick an enemy unit within 1 inch of the model and roll a number of dice equal to the charge roll for that charge move. For every 6, it suffers a mortal wound, and you can pile an extra 3 inches when you pile in from a charge move. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then his command ability, we've been talking about it all stinking night, is in the shooting phase or combat phase, you pick a friendly Bonereapers unit wholly within 12 inches and add 1 to the attack's characteristics of the weapons used by that unit in that phase, and you can't stack it. So he has it, Zandtos has it, and Katakros has it, because they all have the Liege keyword. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Zandtos, right, the difference is he's got his lance, which is better, and it becomes damage 3 on the charge, mm-hmm. which is, you know...
It's pretty standard, pretty classic for
pretty good.
Like that. Yeah.
He hates the living, so he rerolls wound rolls of 1 that target order and destruction, and reroll all wounds for chaos. He has endless duty, and we talked about still their breath already in the shooting phase, which can also be used in the combat phase.
Yeah. This is that one thing I said where like they're not like over specializing the abilities that the guys give. They can buff your melee guys and they can buff your catapults. So. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, he's cool. And then on the flip side of the scale, you got the Liege-Kavalos. He's slower, 10-inch move. Still has the 3-up, fat ass at 7 wounds. He's got 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 2, with his blade, but he doesn't get the awesome. It doesn't do an extra damage off the charge.
Mm-hmm.
So Zandtos is going to do more damage. He also rides a murder pony, 6 attacks, 3
Murder
pony. And then he's got the unstoppable charge, as well, and then he's got the endless duty. So you're buying it. You're exactly shaving 20 points, and you're just trimming it down. So
yeah, like it's
fine.
Cool.
Yeah, he's fine.
I think he's a really good character for 200 points. I think he's very useful. His command ability is worth it alone.
Yeah, he's pushing. He's almost pushing the value of what can be on a war scroll at 200 points. So he's good. I think that brings us to, drum roll, the big boy himself, and I'm gonna go ahead.
Bestakros for what should be Lastakros. 4-inch movement, 3-up save, bravery 10, 20 wounds. There are a million different attack profiles on here, many of which are useless. So we'll talk about the important ones. The dueling blades of the disapproving samurai man.
Thank you.
3-up, rend 1, damage 1.
He's got 6 attacks too, so he's...
Yeah, 6 attacks. His sword goes from 1 to 4 attacks. 3-up, rend 3, damage 3. The shield he only picks up when he's taken 13 or more wounds, which is 4 attacks, 3s by 3s, rend 2, damage 2, and is accompanied by the ability of 6s to hit, inflict 2 mortal wounds in addition to any normal damage as he smashes your face in. So,
because he's a because he's a badass. Yeah.
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 And there's just a million. There's all the little guys have attacks. They're all kind of the same.
Well, here's the thing, and this is something one of my friends, Sam, pointed out to me. They all have the exact same attack profile. That makes bookkeeping and
so much easier. It's just how many do you have?
Yes. Yeah, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. It's so clean. You're essentially charting down the number of attacks as he loses dudes. But now, when he charts, he loses people off of his base, essentially, losing their abilities that come with them.
Yes, and that ends up being a really big deal. So, of all of these different little companions, so before we get into the companions, he can pick 3 units wholly within 24 inches to heal 3 wounds.
Mm-hmm.
Or bring 3 guys back, depending on the unit size. They've got the Nannerite weapon abilities on the little guys. He has Endless Duty, and his command ability, Supreme Lord of the Bonereaper regions. Units wholly within 18 inches of him add 1 to hit rolls, and if they are Mortis Praetorian, they get +1 to their saves. He is Mortis Praetorian, so he gets +1 to his save. So he is a 2-up. So, his little buddies, the Spy Master.
This I'm sorry, real quick. This ability is the one that doubles to 36 inches when he's...
Oh, we're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, his little buddies.
All right.
That's the last one. That's the big reveal.
All right,
Ruined.
sorry.
The Aviarch Spy Master, once per turn.
Fucking awesome! Sorry.
You can roll a dice when your opponent receives a command ability. If you do so on a 4-up, that command point is lost.
At no cost, I feel like you just have this guy, he's just fucking looking at charts and shit, and he's talking to his birds, and you don't get your command point. It's Crowbro is sweet, dude. All right.
Right. Yes. So he's pretty good. That's also one of those things that takes the knees out of Slaanesh, right? Because they're generating command points out of phase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Scroll Bearer, which is the first guy to die. Table wide, you can pick 1 enemy unit. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that unit that target friendly Ossiarch Bonereapers.
That's actually really good. A -1 that you just fling out at will, and then you've got a -1 that you got on the Nexus. You can have you can just cripple 1 unit. At a -2, it might as well be dead.
Yeah. And so the big reveal, Bannerman. Whilst Bannerman is alive, his Katakros' command ability, Supreme Lord of the Bonereaper Legions, is range 36 instead of 18.
That's so much reach. Oh man, he's projecting power halfway across the damn table.
Yeah.
I like that he's he's a move 4 skeleton because he's like M. Bison. He cannot be bothered to walk quickly. Like he walks slowly across the table. And he's 500 points. So
yeah,
that's exactly where I expected him at. If he lived up to the hype. I feel he did kind of live up to the hype. I think he goes in basically every fucking list.
Yeah, if he's your general. You get 5 points every turn, plus you get to roll a d6 for a 6/1.
Yeah, it's cool.
Sounds great.
Yeah, not a spellcaster. Happy about that actually. When I saw him, I'm like, this guy doesn't cast spells. He just beats your shit up.
Yeah, him and Kurdos are in the Death Heroes Without Spells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Club.
And then I saved the best non-Katakros unit for last.
Oh, while you work on that, I'm gonna go get some water.
All right, sounds good, dude.
All right.
Zurst, thank you so much for the sub. Whoa, I see what's going on here. Soren, dude. All right, oh man. Soren, I can't even thank you enough. Everyone, well, I think that hits us over our threshold now, so we're gonna get some brand new emotes. The Katakros emote is already uploaded. So Frank, you gotta get drawing, dude. We should have the Katakros, emote, within this week, because they always have to get approved. And that means we need a new emote. I don't even... Disapproving Samurai Man? Maybe? I mean, you gotta tailor them to reactions people have. Usually. So, like, we have, like, the creepy smile one. We have, like, the smug look. You've got me staring creepily at you. Joanna votes Samurai Man. Chat gang, why don't you solve this problem for me? What are we making Frank draw for my new emote? We have smug and joy, basically. Yeah, I need disapproval? Perhaps. Yeah, so Mr. Meth, no. Like Mr. Meth, nope. And just, yeah. So thank you so much for that, Soren. All those gift subs. So, everyone, Amish, Carbomb, Trunzo, Soshi, Hitman, Rambo. I see Bryce is there. Joel, enjoy your emotes. Go spam other people's Warhammer chats with all my fantastic emotes drawn by Frank on the rocks here.
Everyone to Warhammer TV.
Yeah, everyone to Warhammer TV. Let's raid. Let's ride. So I didn't get the chance to start talking about the best unit.
I wanted you to have that like floor space just.
Is that what it was?
Just cleared for you. Yeah.
Okay.
I also needed water.
Yeah, I see. I needed water too, but I'm trying to limit my walking away from the camera in a live cast as a rule. So 12-inch move. I was surprised to see them at 12-inch move. I thought I was getting 10. 12 inches is blazing fast on the table. I can attest with Black Knights. It's the difference between 10 and 12 inches is oft underestimated. It compensates for a lack of flying in several situations where you can just squeak around or go up and over something and get where you need to go. With easy access to a battalion that gives them run and charge, Their banner is the adds 1 to run rolls, 1 to charge rolls, so you get double value from that, which means you also get double value from cogs. Usually I advise against taking cogs in armies because the benefit is to your opponent as well. But if you get double benefit, then it's almost worth it.
Man, this unit is so good.
Yeah, so 4-up saves, no freaking shield crap to worry about like with Black Knights. No, I don't have to do math. I'm just on a 4-up, 3-up in Petrifex Elite, and they're 3 wounds per model instead of 2. So a little bit on the head, like they've got a little bit fatter ass than your Black Knights. They're still in packs of 5. They go up to what is it?
Packs of 15, so they're 180 for 5, 480 for 15.
And they do it all. So they've got, either blades or spears. I think in this case you do take the blades. I guess I'd hear an well, I mean, I've always wanted 2-inch reach on my lance attacks, and every time I'm like, shit, I need. If you're running more than 5, you take the spears.
Well, so that's the thing is. I think a list that is 15 with 2 5s in the battalion is legit.
Yeah.
Because in Petrifex, you can give Ren to those spears anyways.
Okay. Yeah, but 2 Ren just looks so good.
Yeah, Ren 2 is really good, but you have the spell on a 4-up the hit explodes with the spell.
Yeah. Yeah, you just want to maximize your attacks, is really what you're going for.
Yeah.
So spears is the way to go because you're maximizing your attacks, and you got those fat cavalry bases to get around. I mean, how many times have I piled in with my Black Knights, and people are like, "Oh, they're 2-inch reach," and I'm just like, "No." Yeah, I think you go spears too. And then they have regular horses. They do not have murder ponies. 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, 1 damage. But then
these are just like this is just like a salt pony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're meant to like fly in there. They can be a little bit of a tar pit because you've got a 4-up and a 6-up natively. Well, a 3-up and a 6-up natively. So they and 3 wounds apiece. In blocks of 10, that's 30 wounds.
And they've got a shield, so they're eligible for that 5-up shrug from the lore.
Yeah, yeah, it's
they're 3-up, 5-up, 6-up.
Yeah, and then re-rolling if you toss some mystic shield love in their way.
Yeah,
yeah, these guys are monsters. Go on.
So 15 of them is 45 wounds. Katakros brings 1 back. Arkhan brings 1 back. It's like retreat and charge out of the battalion. You get to use their ability for free when they charge. Man, I don't know what gets through this real easily. It's
and then they've got that Death Rider wedge, which is impact, charge impact damage.
5-up. It's a mortal wound for an enemy unit per model.
Yeah. Equal to the number of models in your unit. So it's like a Evocator's Light, 5-ups becomes immortal. And the additional 3-inch pile-in. And this is where I was going back and forth on swords versus spears. Because with the additional 3-inch pile-in, I was like, I think I can play in such a way to maximize my swords. But wouldn't you just rather not think about it and go spears? I mean, go ahead.
On the 15, I'm taking spears because what I'm doing is I'm taking the first 5 and I'm turning them long ways for the Tokyo Drift, and then I'm stacking the other 10 behind them, so that I'm not absorbing that huge frontage.
Yeah. You just stretch them out and boom, pin and win. You get to be you get to play a little bit like the much beloved Dave Nordstrom special, right? You get to play a little bit like his Brass Stampede. And impact hits gives you some tools against some activation wars too, so you can eke in some wounds early and potentially chart something depending on where you're at, right?
Yeah, the only thing they have not going for them is they don't have the reroll save rolls of the shield wall. Oh no.
Right. Right.
Like, man, Arkhan, 15, 2x5, Liege-Kavalos Battalion. Like, I know that's a lot of points, but that is, like, that 15 is just oppressive.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot that can just deal with that running down their face, like running into their face early on. Like, you just, and you're going to pin and mine objectives. This is the list I was hoping I would get to build, basically, when I saw the models. I'm like, I hope that I can just run 3 units of cavalry and it be the right decision. They're your battle line choice, too. You don't even have to bend over backwards to get them in.
Yeah, you don't have to have, like, a Liege-Kavalos general for them to be battle line. Man, I'm so happy for you that this worked out the way that it did. And, like, I feel really guilty because, I've got, like, that first 50% of the list written, and I'm like, man, that looks like a lot of fun. And there's a certain person in me that goes, I really like to let people have, like, their special snowflake moments.
No, man, I ain't about that life. We, like, play what you love the way you love it, and I knew I was going to go cavalry heavy, but, like, what I didn't know is, like, I would actually think about having, like, an alt build corpse explosion list with Nagash, so...
I don't think anyone really did.
So, like, there's... Oh, man, this is just... Yeah, like, get rid of eels. Like, let's fucking fight. Like, man, I can't wait. This is awesome. I'm ordering 30 so that if I feel like it, I can go 3 of 10.
Oh, man. That's gonna
go...
Oh, so expensive. it's $60 for 5.
Yeah.
Because I put my order together and I was mathing it out, and I am not happy with how much money I'm spending.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't look at your bank account. Just look at the boxes as they come from Mini Stomp, right?
The real trick is that November is the month I get paid 3 times instead of 2. So, like, in my head, I'm rationalizing it as it's okay. This is an extra paycheck. I wasn't getting the money anyways.
Yeah. So, like, I saved pretty decently. I've had some donations, and I got my Twitch check, which is money that I'm just free to spend without Molly. It never factors into our budget. It's just, that's mine. The rest is
it's just a thing.
Yeah. And so, like, I actually was able to, like, buy my pre-order with, book, spells, dice, etc. Pretty much just on all of that. And now it's cutting into real funding going forward, so now I'm feeling it. I'm like, but it's got to be done. Pack is the goal. Yeah, I've got Blood Angels for sale if somebody wants. They're mostly either primed or primed and base coated because that's the army I was building when I broke my hand, and so it just never got finished. Yes, I bought the dice, and I bought them solely to troll because it's what Nagash would have wanted. They're horrible. I started a poll that said, how bad are these dice going to be? And actually, boy wonder, Isaiah got closest. He said it was going to be 3-dimensional hands on the sides. But oh, they're so bad. On the time Brendan falls asleep, take bets. I think we got him for like at least 20 more minutes. So yeah, I guess we could talk battalions and stuff if you want. Maybe just standout moments, because I feel like we're dragging on and deep diving's not my specialty here. But the big thing is that the Staliarch Lords have a fucking great battalion, and it's how many points is it?
I think it was 140.
140.
I think. You know who'll know? Frank will know.
Frank will know. Chat King Frank, help us.
120.
120. Oh, that's so affordable. What is this with I think the scowl can be deeper, Frank. It could be like, just look at a Japanese father disapproving of everything you do for inspiration on how deep to get the frown, or any sumo wrestler. 120 on the battalion, yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So I guess obviously I'm gonna lean into a cavalry build for a list. Do you have like a list in mind already, or are you just kind of filling it up with everything you want so far? I mean, obviously, Brad's just gonna win like a tournament in a couple months with it, and everyone can just copy that list real quick. But in the meantime,
Yeah.
you gotta buy models.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that I feel like I really need the book in hand for some reason to start going after it. I've got some inklings. Obviously, I talked about 25 Death Riders. There's definitely value in the kind of like running a big mob of Mortek Guard and supporting it with Bone Shapers or Katakros and Arkhan. I think a lot of lists start with Katakros. I think a lot of lists start with Arkhan, and you kind of just go from there. There's, I think, a Horsey Boy list with Stalkers that I'll be interested in giving a go. I'll definitely take a practice round of 2-up YOLO solo Nagash and see where that gets me. It's yeah. Morghasts are interesting to me. They finally have some of that extended durability with the healing from Arkhan and Katakros and Bone Shapers, which was the biggest Achilles heel from before.
They exploded to anything, right?
Yeah,
you could very rarely get them their death save, so they had wounds, but they didn't have like a ton of them. It's still just 2 models. You didn't have any way to really project power with them to keep up with them with anything that you were willing to stick your neck out on. They were a little bit more pricey. Did they get tapped down to like the 200 range, or are they still like 220?
Morghast?
Yeah.
210.
210? Yeah, I figured they'd get tapped down a little bit. I think there's enough force multipliers in this army to where I think I'm okay with them at 210. Before, it's like unsummonable in Legions of Nagash, like they could have been 180. And
yeah, but they can be battle line if Nagash is your general.
Sure.
Sounds great.
Yeah. I don't know. The keywords really held them back in LON, but here you're gonna be able to play them again and not feel like you're just like it's your pet unit that you always take. Not talking about anyone specifically in chat, Kyle. But you're gonna be able to take them and not like feel guilty that you're like completely shooting yourself in the foot at the beginning of the race. You're gonna actually be able to like take them and sling them around some if you feel like it. Maybe again the list will emerge. We'll see the list emerge. Whoever there's a lot of moving. There's so many moving parts to this book, and
technically a Gothizzar Harvester can bring one back.
Oh, because his doesn't capped at the 3.
Mm-mm. D6, but it's got to be a 10 or more wound model.
Yeah.
And you have to have rolled the 4-up, and then you roll a 6.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it is possible.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to this army. I like you. We already had this episode sort of like in the books to record. We knew we were going to talk about this and Dragonfall. With our little bit. If you haven't watched if you jumped in chat late, go back and watch the VOD for the beginning. It was pretty funny. But I need the book physically in my hands, because the way, I am a curmudgeon. I'm the first person to say that they should rethink how they distribute their books at Games Workshop with digital forms and stuff like that, and stress the digital form and so on and so forth. And then the book as a collector's item. But even as a GM, I need my books to go through it, because I post-it note here. The way my brain consumes information, I still just need books. So I need the book, and I'll look at this combo, and I'll be like, oh, does this combo that way? Flip. Oh shit, it does, and like check the language, and just being able to flip back and forth. Then I throw a post-it note in it. I'll sit down with a book and War Scroll Builder, and I'll hammer out the list. As a starting point, it's probably going to be like 25 to 30 Death Riders, probably Katakros, like the battalion. Like that's most of my army right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then from
Have
there,
fun.
yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be fun to throw my weight around with a list like that. And then from there, you know, maybe it's trim back on cavalry choices and only take the one block of 15, you know, or the one of 10, and then a giant block of Mortek Guard, and now you have enough in there to add in the little fun parts, the support pieces, and you've got those extra points. I think as a rule, I think early on we're going to see a lot of Nagash plus stuff, but just because people have Nagash built, and it's like fast forward. It's like a fast forward button to get your Ossiarch Bonereapers on the table if half your army is in one model, and then you just have to build some complementary pieces, and then like you can be playing this like the day your Mod Tribes box show up, you can practically start playing this at a table because you have Nagash, you know, like, well, there's not enough battle line in that box, but a couple more Mortek Guard later and you're good to go. So I think early on you're going to see Nagash. I think a dominant list is gonna emerge that probably runs both Katakros and Arkhan. I just think it just feels like that's going to be one of the main ways to run it.
It's just so good. You're healing both of them for six wounds a turn, and then 3 other units can have another 6. You can be bringing back 2 Kavalos Death Riders. You can be bringing back 6 Mortek Guard. You can be healing up that Immortis guy that got injured. You know, taking the saves for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, and it gives you the reliability on the spells that you want, so you can get those other sort of good buffs off that aren't just hinged to your CPs. Because Arkhan does have that bonus to cast. I just think, like, I see that and I'm like, if I were to just start making an army to be as filthy as possible, that's probably where I start, is with Katakros plus Arkhan, and then I go from there. Unless you're
860 points, so just a small discount off of Nagash.
Right. Well, that's what you build your own Nagash, right? Like, I've said it before. That's what Arkhan does. He's a mini gash. I shall call him Mini Me. I think we'll see where my mind. I have this question mark where I just need to see it played. I can hypothesize where I think it's going, but a catapults list that takes the Soulmasons, probably Katakros or Liege-Kavalos type thing, like to really get a lot of buffs onto those catapults. Is it going to be Lord Ordinator and 4? At the end, is it going to be Lord Ordinator and 4 catapults? Kind of good, but not actually the best in the long run? Or is it really going to become...
Well, I mean, the difference is the catapults are reliable in the way that the Lord Ordinator and the artillery is not.
You need those to explode, and you can't guarantee the explosions on those.
Yeah, these are just straight 5 damage on the front end.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting in, you're putting in 1,000 points onto catapults, though, right? Or I guess you could probably run 2 safely. Just start with 2. You probably don't need to go full 4. You don't have the Skaven superpower where, like, okay, you buy your awesome artillery and or shooting pieces, and then you just flood the table with bodies bodies. You don't have that advantage in this army. So like, I think there's a catapult list out there that we're going to see develop. And, like, again, there's just a lot of moving pieces. But I bet you catapult list, you're going to go all in on it. I think there's going to be a good cavalry list. I don't think either of those are going to be the best build. The cavalry list, I think, is just going to be fucking fun to play and rewarding in like, you're taking people to Pound Town with that list. You're imposing your will. You're Tokyo drifting this block of murder into people that's hard to kill and hard to deal with and can regenerate. And then, like, you still have a bunch of tools to compete in the rest of the game. So I think the cavalry list is going to be strong. But Arkhan plus Katakros, start from there and then scoop up and then pick up the tools. Get yourself one of the Immortis Guards to protect, like, Arkhan or something like that. And then get your elite bodies, get some force multipliers on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take. What's yours?
I love this book, man. It's
yeah.
I really haven't been super jazzed for a book since Beast of Chaos. I was pretty excited for Beast of Chaos, but there wasn't a lot leading into it. And, it came out and you're like, okay, there's some cool stuff in here. And the thing is though, like, I haven't run Beast of Chaos in earnest. I ran Nurgle with the Beast of Chaos Nurgle Battalion in it for P.A.C.A., and that's the only time I played it in the last year, and because it's basically been a year since it's come out. And I really like the book, and I'm really happy for that book, and I do intend to get some more games in and do all of that. I've got plenty of projects that have to be worked on. Beast of Chaos is my first fantasy army. I love it. And Legions of Nagash, I was so excited for that book because I'd been playing Nagash, at any of those bonuses.
You'd been playing him at 900 without any of the bonuses.
Yeah, and I loved it. And I was getting a book that was built specifically to rein all that in, bring it together. This is the most excited thing in this game I've had come out, and there's something about it that really speaks to me. The style of play, the way it all comes together, like, it forces you to be a critical thinker, it forces you to be a problem solver, it forces you to be creative with your solutions because you're given limited resources, but you're given different resources. You get to look at the object in the room from a different angle. You get to measure it from a different perspective, and there's something about that I really look forward to. So while I am not super enthused at the self-imposed dollar amounts, because I do want to have a whole collection of it. That's one of my problems is I'll start the army and I'll be like, okay, I've got my 2,000 point army. It's like, and now I need all the options.
Right.
So I'm just starting with this, Cadillac Escalade fully loaded. It's
yeah. Yeah. I'm right there with you. I was really excited. So, like, LON was coming out. The LON book came out basically as I was already getting into Age of Sigmar. It was down the line, and it helped me really settle in, and it was like Games Workshop. I'm like, I make the decision to, like, play Age of Sigmar, and then Games Workshop, like, handed me the LON book shortly after, and I'm like, oh, awesome, like, thanks for rewarding me. And so, like, that sort of launch release excitement, that was like a homecoming for me, though, because I had been playing Army Book Undead and Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I'd just taken a long hiatus, so I was just like, it was just a homecoming. This is an actual fucking party, like, this is, it's Age of Sigmar-y death in Age of Sigmar. It's a full, fresh, cool take, and the thread from design follows the models and the rules all the way through, which is the sweet spot. You can have an army that, like, looks cool, but then its rules aren't all the way there for the way you want to play it, right? You're like, oh man, I love the look of these models, but I don't want to play, like, Nurgle. I don't want to play that type of grindy, kind of fast, weird army. Like, I'm like, but, like, I'll grind with skeletons because they fucking blow up and then I'm bringing them back, and that feels more dynamic than Plague Bearers. So it's like that little turn to the side slightly is the difference between me like loving playing Legions of Nagash versus not liking playing Plague Bearers. But like this, there's there's so many of those moving parts. There's a lot of decisions to make. It begins at the list building. You're just looking at this. You're like, I've got these model ranges, and I can really see with your elite. Every time you subtract something, you exactly add something back.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff to be real excited about with this book, and
Soren, thank you again for another donation, $25, man. Thank you so much. That's awesome. So that's 2 boxes of Kavalos Death Rider or whatever. That's no, that's oh man. Yeah, I'm pumped for the book. I can't wait to get it in my hands. Hopefully, it should be this week, right? Like it should ship out.
Yeah, so if you pre-ordered it, you can get it at your store Saturday, or if you've got an illicit book dealer like me, you'll have it Wednesday. Oh, it's gonna be spectacular.
So yeah, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna start immediately, like reading it and grinding out lists. So. You already shouted out Cubic Shenanigans once, but you want to go ahead and wrap us up with shameless self-promotion and/or shout-outs to the community?
Yep, so you can normally find me on my podcast, Cubic Shenanigans. The website's cubicshenanigans.net. We are a general Warhammer podcast, so we talk Age of Sigmar and 40k. Not a lot of 40k, because I'm on the show, and I really only want to talk Age of Sigmar ever, only, even at work. It drives people nuts. So, we're going to be recording Bonereapers as our next episode. So that's going to be November 7th, I think, is when we're planning to record. And hopefully I'll be able to provide you some more and different insights.
He'll give you... Yeah, you do a good job with your tome reviews. It's one of the ones... I still haven't made it through Cities, but I did make it through War Clans. It's very much like this is kind of, we meander through what excites us and back and forth and stuff like that. If you listen to Cubic Shenanigans, you're going to get the actual like deep dive on the tome. Brendan will have had time to sit with the Battletome too, so the gears will have been turning for him. He'll see the builds, he'll have the specifics for it. So I recommend listening to that. Deep dives tend not to be my thing, but I'm excited about Bonereapers. I can't not talk about them, you know.
Yep. And then I think the next time you'll be able to find me is Doom and Darkness asked me to be on the Cubic Shenanigans for Brendan is the voice of reason. Doom and Darkness asked me to be on for Ossiarch Bonereapers Unlocking, so hopefully I've had some time with the book, I'll have had some games under my belt, and I'll be able to give you where I feel these lists are really headed with some experience under my belt. So this is a 3-phase media blitz.
He's taking over your airwaves.
I guess it was really 4 phases with Tuesday last week where we just went nuts. You know, now we've got some material to speak logically to.
Yeah, someone actually went through the book, so you get. I mean, you're filling in context. You're giving more observable data that you can comment on, and so you're getting a more complete picture. And it's been a journey for you if you've been watching all these or listening to all these on your favorite podcast platform where all of these are available.
Quite the plug.
Yeah. So I look forward to getting all my opinions on Ossiarch Bonereapers from your Cubic Shenanigans episode in a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else?
Listen to Playin Slayin. Fat Kid Sports is in the chat. That's the other Milwaukee podcast.
Yeah.
They are a general gaming podcast. If you have not heard yet, if you're more into D&D, you get a Mephisto branded segment. So
sponsored, yeah, by me.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have imaging now. So.
Playin and Slayin also pretty great. You get board games. D&D. Also Age of Sigmar. So you have like that sort of. What I like how our interests intersect at Age of Sigmar, but then we kind of branch out a little bit from that within this group, and that's what I really like to highlight on RantCast. And then Cubic Shenanigans, just real quick, you do all the episodes are time stamped. Dan is very diligent about that, so that if you don't like 40K, you can just click the button and then it skips over the 40K segment too. So it's really good listening. I find myself listening to some of the 40K stuff, even though I listen to most of it. It's just when it becomes a 40K dedicated episode, I'm really like tuned out. But I find myself able to listen to some of the 40K stuff because of how excited Dan is about it. So I'm like, I don't understand half of what you're saying, but I get that you're excited about it, you know? Like, and so like, that's really cool. So you have a little like counterpoint with Brendan, as Ty here joked, Brendan is the voice of reason, and like, yeah, kinda, you are like the man on the street, like, let's go to our expert in the rules booth, you know, and so it's pretty cool. But it's great. I recommend both those podcasts too. They're my must listens. They're like on the must listen to, and then from there, Mortal Realms for your lore if you need that. But now you're moving away from.
Oh yeah, so more big pimping.
There you go.
Warcry events, November 16th, $10. Narrative Warcry, Madison, Wisconsin. Sign up. Bruce City Brawl, April 24th through 26th. Sign-ups begin December 1st. 2,500 point Age of Sigmar event here in Milwaukee. I run it. I like weird stuff, even though I play dirty stuff. So I incentivize the weird. Sign up for that.
Yeah.
Sports.
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's start 40K armies. Oh, what's 40K? What is that? Is that...
I got a Tau army and a Dark Eldar army.
I'm trying to parachute out of 40K, man. Yeah, and I think I've been fully coerced into running a doubles tournament in Milwaukee September. I'll start to hammer out the particulars myself, but
I'm an enabler.
And then sponsored by like Brendan, like so we have these like constant loops. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Soren, you beast. Thanks for the donations, the donated funds for the tithe and all those subs you handed out. Now we have to make Frank go make art. So thanks for making him do art. That's the best part. And Brendan, thank you so much for being on again.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
All right. Catch you later, dude. And good night, chat.